Before we begin, I would like to say grace. Please, everyone, bow your heads. Dear Flying Spaghetti Monster, we'd like to thank you for a year full of bountiful gifts, especially from people like Zeke Slider and Nikado, amongst many, many other of our good friends. Bow and Arrow, all sorts of people who've been
Nate
so good to us this year.
Low Clef.
Yeah. In fact, we were just drinking some of Low Clef's whiskey.
Yeah.
Thank you, Flying Spaghetti Monster.
And he always had a mighty fine wine.
Think of it now, our whiskey.
Thank you for letting Leon be frozen in time so he doesn't die on us.
Hey, you know what else you got this year?
Thank you for Kristen, who joined us this year.
That's right.
And immediately started trying to take over the show violently. Thank you for Harris, who is the super scroll of the show and can fill in for any of the other members. Thank you for Bo, who can broadcast even from his own home because his voice is just that loud.
That's where I am now.
And I'd say thanks for the other members, except they're not here, so they can go fuck themselves.
Don't be like that. Our own little Grant, he's home with the flu.
That's true.
He wanted to be.
Well, what are we supposed to thank for that? Say thank you, Flying Spaghetti Monster, for making Grant sick.
Well,
Works for me.
I don't want to be. It's true. I don't want to be one of those guys, which I guess I am, being like the guy who wins the Super Bowl. Thank you, God, for letting us win the Super Bowl. And the other team's like, well, what are we supposed to do?
Thank you, God, for hating those guys.
Thank you, God, for letting us win the Super Bowl and for all those people you killed this year.
And God says back, well, thank you for making the spread. I had 20 G's on this game.
So you're saying it was rigged?
Or just all the music artists are like, I'd like to thank Jesus for making me win this award. At which point Kanye comes up and is like, yo, Jehovah. You had a good run. I'm going to let you finish. But Buddha had the best religion of all time.
Good one. Well, this is the League of Extremely Ordinary Gentlemen Thanksgiving episode.
Right, the League of Extremely Thankful Gentlemen.
Yes.
How about that?
But I am thankful. I mean, we joke around, but I am thankful. We're pretty lucky to be in the position we are right now. We have a lot of really good, awesome fans. We have a lot of people who I've met just this year alone who I totally adore and love. And yeah, it's been a good year, I think.
Yeah.
And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Long list the league.
Over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house we go.
But Thanksgiving is only partially about thanks.
It's mostly about turkey.
It is. It's about
almost totally about food.
Gluttony.
Yes.
And
The
occasionally
true
it's about
American
getting left
holiday.
out because you're a vegetarian, your family's not.
It's about gorging yourself on so much turkey that you can forget all the horrible, hateful things that your judgmental parents have said to you as soon as you showed up on their doorstep.
I'm curious, Kristen, because for the rest of us, it's about eating turkey and getting all that tryptophan and being sleepy. But if you're just eating a bunch of tofurkey, how do you feel?
Which is, have you ever seen one of those? They look like Charlie Brown's Christmas tree.
I gotta say, man, I just never understand like all the vegetarian products that are made to look like meat.
The only thing I like is the soy bacon, only because it actually tastes good. But I don't.
Oh my God, that sounds horrific. Like when it comes to meat, like bacon is like the ultimate in meat.
I'm not going to argue that at all. Bacon was delicious.
Bacon tastes good.
Bacon was the first thing I quit eating altogether because I was just like eating so much of it. I'm like, I'm going to die before I'm 20. I have to quit eating bacon.
Were you working at a restaurant at the time?
No.
Okay, because that was my problem. I had to quit bacon for years because there was this big old tray of bacon right as you walked by this one area of the restaurant. And every time you'd walk by, you'd be like, you didn't even know you did it. Your arm would reach out and you'd grab a piece of bacon. And you'd be like, God damn it!
Well, that's it's like a classic XKCD cartoon. It's a little graph, My general health, age at which I realized I could have bacon whenever I wanted.
Well, even when I went to the Million Man March, and I'm out there talking to the black Muslims, and I'm like, you know what? You guys seem pretty cool. You got a lot of things going on, and okay, your women cover themselves up. I'm not really with that, but I could probably learn to deal with it. But wait, I can't eat bacon? Oh, sorry. Maybe next time. Maybe next lifetime.
Can we trade off and they don't cover up, but you do gag them?
Yeah, no. I'm
Sorry,
not.
Kristen.
I ain't giving up bacon for nobody.
There aren't enough virgins in any fucking afterlife to pay for this.
Here's your 72 virgins. All right, well, if I can get a BLT, this will be just perfect.
Smile point was like, virgins, really? Can I get the slightly older, experienced woman?
Yeah.
'Cause, that's just having had both. I can tell
Seriously.
you.
Nothing like 72 women you got to break in.
Once you die, you can eat bacon, right? No? Well, fuck that.
Fuck that. Yeah.
I'm going to Christian heaven. They have all kinds of bacon in there.
Give me a BLT and a couple of slutty girls.
Yeah, and Leog was the next Salmon Rushdie.
many blacklists do we need to be on?
We're all on them all.
we're
Yeah,
all of them.
which ones aren't we on? Because we need to target those.
Someday we'll be hated by everyone.
Right.
We're working on it. One.
We
social
brought the
group
world
at a
together.
time.
Unfortunately, it was all to kill us.
Hey, man.
And that's what we mostly give thanks for, is all of the people that we can have an undying hatred for. Thank you for making us feel better about ourselves.
And I'm thankful for. Speaking of that, I'm thankful for Mr. Flesh Eater for giving us a common enemy to
Don't
all.
you
Talk
about
about
that.
him
No.
anymore.
No, great.
Does not
Thanks
exist.
a lot, Leon.
Fail.
You say
Can
that,
we
but he's
edit
gonna
that?
pop up.
Can we erase
Well, it
that?
doesn't- no,
Would you like to just stand in the mirror and say his name 5 times?
He will pop up, but it doesn't matter because he'll be deleted, and I actually kind of enjoy that game. I'm like,
I-
I don't even read what he writes. I'm just like, oh, look, I go to the members page a couple times a day just to see who's up there and go, oh, look, it's another so-and-so flesh eater, delete. So it's like, wow, his shit doesn't even affect me. It's like he thinks he's like getting under my skin. I'm like, I never read anything he writes.
I find it almost fun too, because he'll come to my page and write something insulting, and I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna bust you, but just get out of here.
My only issue is you all bust him before I have a chance to see what the hell he put up.
I
So
know.
he's becoming a legendary figure to me.
He's Bigfoot.
Oh, Flesh Eater, what secrets do you hide?
Once again, it's an asshole in a suit. So are we gonna tick off what? Oh, did we just tick off what we're thankful for?
Well, sort of. I mean, jokingly. I mean, we did before, but we can do that seriously.
Yeah.
Go
Hey,
ahead.
Are,
What do you
are-
like?
that you're
are you
more
going
thankful
to
for?
Virginia this year?
Oh, no. No,
Oh,
no.
no.
That's too pricey.
Ooh,
In fact,
I'm thankful for Virginia because they make ham.
they do, and it's damn good. That's about one of the only good things I can say about Virginia anymore. My parents live there, and even they're like, yeah, don't come here. Instead, we'll meet you on like an island somewhere. I was like, you know what? I like that plan better too, because
Can that island be Manhattan?
it's pretty much everyone I know who I really got along with well left Virginia as well. Those few people who are left, I feel sorry for. They're kind of a little scary. They kind of evolved into this Texas Chainsaw Massacre type of thing. It's very
Virginia is for lovers and for people without enough brains to escape it.
No, they can be very smart, but that's the whole thing. When you get smart, weird people, but with no motivation to leave a tiny little town, eventually things get really weird.
Ooh, sounds like
But enough about
Smallville.
Austin.
Yeah. They call those people hippies.
Yes, they do, don't they? Okay, so no, I'm not going to see them. I'm thankful for my family, though. To be sure, I have a great family. So.
Oh, well, lucky you. Just
Yeah.
rub it in everybody's face, why don't you?
Oh, yours died, didn't they? Sorry.
Thank you. No, my family's cool.
And that's it.
I don't know. I mean, it's Thanksgiving. I actually probably won't see him till Christmas. Thanksgiving, I get to stay in town
Hell yeah.
and do stuff.
Come on, you just look for the closest, biggest meal at Thanksgiving once you reach a certain age. You're like,
Pretty much.
Well, I like to see family, but Christmas is right around the corner. I got to see them then. So you know what? We're just gonna go for the biggest, fattest, serious, drinkingest Thanksgiving you can find.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not looking for reasons to go to Houston. I'm quite the opposite. But between the two, if I go for Christmas, I might score a gift or two.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving is just a bunch of turkey. I
Yeah.
mean, I can get that here.
You can get that anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I hear you.
it's the secular humanist viewpoint that just makes my heart throb about the holidays. Well, yeah, man, if I can go someplace there's a good meal, I can get some shit out of it. I'll go.
Jesus, I am thankful for you giving me the ability to get through this buffet.
Peace on earth, goodwill of men. Fuck a duck.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like Thanksgiving, you can look at it in that religious sense, like some folks
Wait,
do.
there's no religious
Or you can
connotation
just
of
go.
Thanksgiving?
Sure, there is. There's that whole thanking God for your blessings during the
Thanking
year.
God
or
for
whatever,
moving to a
you know?
country where we
I
can
believe
oppress
the,
people properly.
Yeah, it's like thank God the Indians didn't kill us
Yes.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
about to-
manifest destiny. That's what we're thinking.
I believe the Native Americans talk to quite a few deities when it comes to the whole idea of Thanksgiving. Thanks, jackass.
Right.
Thing, I just-
Wow, Coyote God, huh?
Like you couldn't given us gunpowder first. Fuck you.
Hey,
As much
Manitou Spirit, thanks for teaching them about the syphilis blankets.
No, I mean, I'm well known as kind of a heretic, and, I love my mother, I really do, but she's one of those folks that believes all that the Native Americans knew something we didn't with their crystals and their turquoise and their... I'm like, really? Because if they did, then why are they almost all gone?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that's really a fair... I don't think it's causal relationship.
Well, perhaps they
I'm
knew
not-
they were fucked and there was just no getting around it.
I'm not saying
Mom, those aren't crystals. Those are gambling dice.
yeah, they're crystal
I'm
dice.
sorry to tell you that.
Okay, now that we
they're,
have pissed
they're
off
pretty
the
and you
last
can
group.
look through them, but they're not channeling any great spirits. They're actually loaded.
I'm not saying their religion is any more hollow than anyone else's. Just saying that, maybe their calendar is already up. That's all. Obviously, the Mayans miscounted. So.
Okay, so several people on the site with the whole 2012 review
Yeah.
have said, like, the Mayans never said that was the end. 2012
No,
was
it's
the end of the
a
world.
cycle,
Yeah.
not the end of the world.
It was end of a sentence, more like. It's because suddenly a bunch of Spanish guys broke down the door.
Well, it's just kind of convenient how everybody rediscovered that right at the height of Millennium Fever.
Yeah.
Dude, it was just the guys that write the fucking calendars getting tired. Have you seen Mayan alphabet? That shit takes hours to carve.
Well, they were
So it's
like-
and then in 2012, everything starts over again. I'm done. I'm tired.
That's a good point. Maybe if you have to carve everything in stone with a hammer
That's
and
true.
chisel, you're like, look, I'm going up to 2012 and that's it.
If I've got to draw one more kneeling guy eating corn, I'm going to kill all you motherfuckers.
Either that, it just looked out the window and said, "Oh shit, here come the white people."
Dude, you got Quetzalcoatl up here like 8 times. Pick something new.
What were you trying to say
Well,
there,
I'm
Kristen?
sure he was chiseling along, and someone had to walk by. Like, do you really think we're still gonna be around by then, buddy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna stop, and maybe if we make it that far, I'll continue with my calendar.
Yeah, actually, I got some really bad news about 1492. I'm just saying that you probably don't want to read that part.
Things
No, they just had some guys like, "There's someone named Pizarro. What the heck?" Oh,
Oh, Bizarro! I love that comic.
Yeah, that's a great comic strip.
Oh my God, it's Bizarro Superman.
me am leave your gold here.
Me am claim Krypton for my own. Me am discovering it.
So what about the rest of you guys? Y'all have things you're thankful for from this year?
It's already topsy-turvy year for me, like radical transitional stuff. But
I gotta say, Kristen, it's like your life was going great until you started hanging out with us.
That's true. That
You
did destroy
bastards.
pretty much everything.
Oh, so I blame Leon exclusively.
I kind of have that power, and I don't know why. I don't know what it does.
He even told me when he first joined, he's like, "Do you feel right about this? Because she seems like she's going well, her life's going well." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "Yeah, you still don't get it, do you?" And he walked away. And now I know what he was talking about.
I don't even want to list off the number of comic book companies I work for that went out of business.
That's true. You are kind of the touch of death.
You know, you'd think people would realize that with the giant albatross hanging around your neck, that still doesn't seem to throw off any warning lights for anybody.
Yeah. And the fact your real name is Cassandra.
I don't know. I would have thought the fact that all the checks are made out to the Flying Dutchman.
But even with those problems, Kristen,
Well,
let's
it's
be-
one of those things where like, a lot of stuff has changed and things are hard right now, but it's like one of those transitions where I'm like, no, I'm gonna have to go through this, but it's gonna be better when this transition finishes. kind
Okay,
of
see,
thing, you know?
it's like a tarot card reading when they turn over the card of death and you go, and they go like, no,
It
that means change.
Yeah. Unless it's upside
But
down.
but once you leave, they look at somebody and go like, no, it really means death.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, then why didn't you call the card
No.
change? What's
No,
wrong with
Babushka,
you,
you're
Death?
Yeah, it's the hanged man you want to avoid, apparently. That's the
The
bad
Hangman
one.
and the Moon and the Tower. Those are the really
Yeah,
ones
the
that
tower's
fuck you.
not a very
No, but even so, you get the death one like, no, seriously, it's changed. You leave. You're like, you ever see that movie Drag Me to Hell?
Somebody's going like, if it's change, why they put a skeleton on it? It's really death, but you can't tell them that. They won't tip. Seriously.
It's funny how that works. You'd think it'd be the opposite. They're like, oh, fuck it. What difference does it make now? It's $300.
So the thrice-horned devil that's going to kill me in the sleep card, that means it's okay?
Good Lord. We just had a surprise
Oh,
appearance
God,
by a member
yes.
who said he
Where the
wasn't
hell's
even going to
that guy?
come.
What a
Why
pleasant
is he so
surprise.
well
Wearing a
dressed?
suit.
It's Jason Murphy. Hello,
Jason Murphy, who has obviously taken a new job as an undertaker and has come to put us all in coffins.
We'll let him
yes,
go get
thank
himself a drink and settle in.
You're not
Oh,
recording
you're not
tonight?
recording?
Not recording.
He
just
just
stopped
to
by to
class
say
the place
hi.
up with his suit.
Come on.
Man.
Yeah,
I
oh,
bet you
we're talking
do.
about Thanksgiving right now. You do. Take a seat, damn it.
No. The Indians still are pissed at me.
The Indians are pissed at you?
Yeah.
That's just because you built your house on their gravesite. That doesn't have anything to do with fucking
Again.
Thanksgiving.
And the blankets.
And he
No,
gave
no.
Uncle
Keep going.
Blackens.
Keep going. I don't need to feel redundant.
Well, Harris, what do you got for us this year? What was your things that you felt like the
Well,
good things that happened to you this year?
It's been kind of an interesting year too, in the sense of like, things were just going a little too calmly. Let's shake it up a little bit. But generally it's been kind of the culmination of just a lot of stuff that I've been working towards. I've got a pretty good relationship going for now. I've got friends moving to town. I've joined you happy fellows. It's been pretty good all around, I think.
Indeed. That does sound like a good year. And I know the girl you're dating, and you're right. You scored. She's totally a sweet, awesome chick.
And hopefully she'll never realize she can do better than me.
Don't say that too loud around here, because that's like one of those guy secrets. We don't want to put in women's heads.
Yeah, we have to find faults with her and like just very passive aggressively bring them up.
She really likes Hal Jordan more than Kyle Rayner. I don't know.
Yeah, well, boy, that is up on my deal breakers list.
Why wouldn't you like Al Jordan more than Kyle Rayner? But I'm sorry, that's a whole nother story.
Thankfully, almost all of those deal breakers are set to the side by the "you were willing to sleep with me"
that does trump a lot of stuff.
Well, she's got a wooden leg, and one of her eyes isn't real, and she's a member of the Nazi Party. But did you see her boobs?
Yeah, it is that kind of thing. Yeah, I was just going to say.
Hey,
Ku
say
Klux
what you will about
Klan.
National Socialism, at least. It's an ethos.
Bo,
When I look into that lazy eye,
what-
it drives me wild.
what do you got for us this Thanksgiving? What do you look back on your year and go, you know what? Thank you, Flying
You
Spaghetti
know,
Monster.
this has been a pretty good year. I mean, I've kind of been. Last year was kind of a free fall plunge into horror. And this year I've kind of like, slowly been like landing on tiny little landing pads in the trees that hold me for about 50 minutes of and then I fall into another one. And so I'm just waiting to hit the ground softly, but for the most part I've been landing on my feet.
Wow,
pretty
you're
well.
like in a platform game of
You-
life.
I know, exactly.
You ain't whistling Dixie, brother, because if somebody was to go back and listen to the Leogs from last season
Yeah.
and the ones from this season, there's a marked difference in your personality.
You can actually hear that creepy sound that the Final Destination ghost makes in the background every time you talk.
That sounds like a death rattle. doesn't
What
it?
is that? Yes, so somewhere every time he talks, the window opens. It's a little girl from The Grudge.
I've been, got a new place, and had the new place that I'm kind of semi-managing is starting to do well. I'm starting to make a little bit more money at that. And
What's the name of that bar again?
The Independent.
At 501 Studios?
It's at 501 Studios in Austin, Texas, on the east side.
I wasn't aware you were technically managing it.
Yes, I'm actually the bar manager for all intents and purposes.
Well,
I'm like
congratulations.
scheduling people and doing all that.
I didn't
all that
realize
good
it
stuff.
either, because you would think as manager he would have invited us all down there for some
free
kind of-
drinks.
Yes,
Exactly.
Or at least
Well,
a shindig
see,
of some
I
sort.
would, but
But he
as-
knows how much we drink.
But I don't want anybody to meet you guys for one. And no, it's not really like the sit down and have a few drinks with your friend type of bar. It's a music club, and it's we do events. I'm surprised I didn't see any of you guys down there for Austin Film Festival. Actually, we were
Actually,
one
you
of
know
those.
what? My schedule just wouldn't allow it. I tried to get down there 3 separate times.
Yeah, me too.
And
actually.
something came up every time.
But
Yep, mostly drinking.
there we go. I'm really grateful for the Spill fans who just showered me with goodness this year.
Well,
I
you
mean,
deserve it.
Holy crap!
You've
You
been
do
such
deserve it.
You've
I'm
been such an
so-
essential member of this podcast since the very beginning, and have helped with the organization and getting stuff done, and even
yes,
financially.
that's absolutely true.
Yes.
Also, Jason, who
Not the
hasn't,
humility
who's too
level.
good to get on the mics with us nowadays.
By the way, Jason, there's a bottle of Jameson's in the whiskey drawer there. I don't know if that suits your interest.
I'll see you bitches later.
There isn't anymore.
Suddenly there was a Jason-shaped cloud where he used to be.
Wow! Oh my God! Looks like a Wile E. Coyote.
And speaking of like the generous members and the gifts and all, there's been some great gifts come through. And
Yeah.
to me, like, nothing tops the Wii that Cyrus got, except that goddamn Green Lantern battery.
The Green Lantern is amazing, but you know what? And I love it to death, and it's just like the prize of my collection. I gotta say though, and I'm just surprised at how much I am loving the fact that I own this. But the Darth Vader costume that we got,
Really?
It,
That's
well,
topping for you?
It fits.
But it fits you.
It
That's
fits
true.
perfectly. It looks like it looks movie quality, people. I mean, it's fucking astounding, and it's just like, when I was a little kid, that was one of my dreams. It's like, oh man, I wish I had like the full-on Darth Vader costume. Had somebody stitch it out of the quilted fabric and made it look all real and shit. And now I do, and it's just like, I don't know why, but it's just like one of those things, like, Kane getting Rosebud, and he's just like, oh wait, all of a sudden everything is better now. That's all I really needed.
Which I'm sure your
to make me
girlfriend
happy.
doesn't feel exactly the same way.
Yeah.
I think all you need at this point is just to get the Red Lantern ring just to complete everything here.
I'm 4 rings into the set.
It's funny. I was bribing Randy, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, and he wouldn't hear. But it's like, look, I know you already have all the rings, and I'm cheaping out on my Halloween costume. I'm just gonna wear all white and let me borrow all the rings, so I can be the White Lantern.
Yeah.
He's like, sorry, man, can't do it. Like, you dick! I'll give you $50. Come on.
The problem with getting these rings is like you gotta buy a Booster Gold comic.
Yeah.
And I was I'm like, look, I'm not doing that.
You can keep the comic. I'll just pay for it.
At the risk of advertising for someone in competition with Randy, Austin Books is selling the rings for like $250 each.
I think.
I can top that. At Tribe Comics, they will give you any of the excess ones they have.
Wow.
Well, hell, I know where I'm
so
going
far,
tomorrow.
I have them all, and I haven't bought a single one of the issues.
Having a hookup at your local comic book store
Why
definitely
don't you hook me
helps.
up since they're near where you live and nowhere near where I live?
Well, dude, you got to at least invest the gas money. Come on.
Oh, come
Yeah,
on.
I don't want to drive all the way over the river.
Come on. I just gave you the Rocky
It's the
Blu-ray
Thanksgiving
set.
episode. It's the Thanksgiving episode, Cyrus, over the river and through the fucking woods to get your little power rings.
Now, this is one of the things that people who don't live in Austin are going to have explained to them. Austin is basically divided between North Austin and South Austin, and both sides of town look at each other and go, I'm not going over there. That's 15 minutes away.
And Cyrus's world is basically split into Cyrus's house and everything else.
That is true. No, that's not true. There's this metro system in my mind just to the movie theaters in town. There's no stops
Exactly.
on the way.
They just had some kind of tube virtual reality thing that I could do.
Yeah, no, it's like Logan's Run. There are these little tubes, and I'm on this little tram, and I just.
That has always freaked me out about Austin, the way people are between North and South. And it's always the Northers who don't want to go south. It's almost like they look at the river as the barrier.
It's like a vampire trying to cross out of its territory.
Well, it's like that barrier that the Galactus put around the Earth for the Silver Surfer. Like, I just can't cross that. I'm going to bounce off of it.
It is damn hard to get across that river sometimes. Like, during any kind of peak
Most times.
traffic hour, unless you're using, maybe Mopac, you can't get any of those arteries, like Lamar or Guadalupe or anything. Like,
You mean
they're
like
just
South
jammed
First
the
or,
fuck
Congress?
up, yeah.
If the sun is up, it's hard to
yeah,
get
it's
across.
just
it's not
hard to
that
get
bad.
across that damn river.
It's just more trouble than it's worth. I'm like, shit, man, Austin has gotten to the point where it's so spread out and there's so much stuff on both sides. Why the hell do I need to go to the south side? I got everything I need up here.
Oh my God,
saying,
you live in Houston for 2 weeks. And you come back here and sing the praises of Austin like you never have before.
I'm just saying, look, there's all this talk about let's go green, and nobody is putting in the genetic work to make huge birds with necks strong enough for us to fly upon. Let's
true.
really go green, okay, folks? No more traffic jams. Oh, and you can attack your enemies.
Speaking of
I want
Logan's
my
Run.
dinosaur.
Talons.
I want a dinosaur I can ride on.
Speaking of Logan's Run, I did just rewatch that on the Blu-ray, and I was going, it's so funny because it's been so long since I watched this, and the funniest thing about this movie is we all thought that's what it was going to be like now. I mean, not the carousel thing, but we
Oh, the
thought we'd
jumpsuits?
all be wearing these sort of relaxed wear. There'd be boobies everywhere.
Have you
We'd all
been
be
to 6th Street?
relaxed.
As far as I'm concerned, it will never be the future until we're all wearing tunics.
That's true, and I want my tunic now. So please, Bill fans, send us our
Yes.
Logan's Run
Oh,
tunic.
good
If you can send me a Darth Vader costume, you can send him a lime chiffon green tunic.
I was going for the red, actually.
Hey, well,
In Cyrus's case, it's actually a moo-moo.
Hey, get back to your whiskey. To
I
be fair,
have seen the future, and it will be.
to be fair, at this point, my little hand jewel isn't just blinking red. It's like screaming and black. Like,
kill this guy.
He's way over.
What's wrong with you? Doesn't
As
he have a
opposed,
gun?
as opposed to Leon's,
Well, yeah.
the
no.
one that's crawled out of his hand and is running up to people, grabbing on the shirt. Please, you don't understand.
No. At this point, his is just like.
It's flipped over. It's back in the zeros
You're
now.
kidding.
Leon actually doesn't have a jewel in his hand anymore. It's just Burgess Meredith's head. Come on, Rock! He's a wrecking machine, Rock! Ah!
Come on, spoiler, you don't have to let this one go.
Well, we were here for more than just Thanksgiving. believe it or not, we were going to talk about books this episode. Like, not comic books.
You mean books without pictures?
Books without pictures.
There could
You
possibly
speak crazy.
be such
How
a
do
thing.
I understand what's going on?
And I'm not talking about Harry Potter either, because we already did a whole episode on that.
Hey, Grant's not here. It's okay. We don't have to coddle him.
You mean books with words that are more than 3 syllables?
Certainly, which means we won't be talking about Twilight either.
I'm out.
That was a cheap shot. Oh, yeah, like I could see Leon sitting there. Oh, why won't you just give in to your love, Edward?
Ah, those sparkly, blood-drinking My Little Ponies.
Edward, he's so tortured. Why don't they understand?
Why don't they understand the love of a 100-year-old and a 16-year-old?
I'm a little scared because we're going to see New Moon next week, which was like one of those, like we got the notice in the mail. There's a press screening for New Moon, and I was like, what?
I think we shoot
Really?
it tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Wait, now
yeah.
have y'all seen the first movie?
No,
No.
but come on.
Okay.
Yeah, I read the synopsis.
I'm sure you'll catch up very quickly.
I'm not going to sit through the first
I think you're going to be so lost by the intricate and Machiavellian plotting going on that really you're not going to have any clue what's happening.
You know what's funny? I said that, though, before I went to go see Saw 6. And, yeah, I didn't have a clue what the fuck was going on. I'm lucky they gave me a crash course. Like, 5 people like, oh, you never saw any of the Saws? Okay, here it goes. And it was like having this Greek chorus explain to me what was happening in all the other movies. And I was like, wait, what? Who should I be looking at? What?
See, that makes me think of, and I probably told this before, when I went to see Dune, the David Lynch Dune, and I got there a little late, and I go in, and the usher hands me a glossary. And I sit down with it. I'm like, I have a glossary? So I'm starting to read these terms so I can understand this movie. And I get to the third one, and the lights go out.
The lights go
and
out.
I'm like, oh, I'm fucked.
That was the dumbest thing ever. I swear to God. You're like, wait, you're handing people a glossary in a movie theater. They can't look and reference it.
the sad thing is they did the same thing with Brick.
Did they really?
Yeah, they really did. They had a guide to what your teenagers are saying when they're watching this movie. Never mind the fact that they made up all of it.
Yeah, well, that was one of those things. Like Brick, you didn't need that. You could watch that thing and like at first it's a little confusing, but then you kind of get into the gist of it. You get what's going on. That these aren't real words or expressions, but having read and seen film noir and Raymond Chandler and stuff like that, you get into the cadences of it. You're
Sure.
like, okay. Whereas in Dune, yeah, sure enough, you really do need to have access to that.
Oh, yeah.
information.
The first time I ever watched the David Lynch Dune, like a friend of mine was a big Dune fan, and it's like, he starts the movie, and then she turns to me and starts explaining all this stuff. And I'm like,
Ooh.
shut up!
Yeah.
I'm like, let me watch the movie, and
What
if
is
I
there
have
to
a
explain?
question,
It's Sting
I'll
in a
ask.
leather diaper.
Dune is
I love that. You're like, hey, you know what? Let me watch this, and I'll figure it out on my own. And then afterwards, it's like, okay, what was all that stuff you were going to tell me?
Yeah, Dune is one of the only movies that requires pop-up video.
It does. That's the perfect way to see
They
that.
should totally reissue that with pop-up video. I'm telling you, that would be awesome. I would buy that if they had
I think
that.
everything should be done with pop-up video.
Oh, Kristen, I was just gonna
And
say
our
that.
5 fans
Yeah,
who
I mean,
actually know what pop-up video is.
pop-up video.
Oh, do they not do that anymore?
You know what, man? They don't do it. Like that show? No,
Yeah.
they don't.
Oh, isn't okay.
But to me, when I get a DVD, Blu-ray, whatever, screw director's commentary.
that should be
I hate
pop-up
commentary.
video.
It should be pop-up. If you get the Mad Max DVD, like the one where they, the new enhanced Mad Max, they do it there. It's called like Max Facts or something. But all along the bottom,
Max Factor.
everything, all the important information, the little asides that you would want to know, they pop up at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
So you can still watch and hear the movie, and then just read these things. And every one of them is interesting. It's like, this is the best way to do this.
A lot of DVDs now, not a lot, but some are coming out with trivia tracks, which is basically that. I mean, instead of doing the bling, which they actually did do on, I think, Spider-Man 2.
Oh, yeah?
If I'm not mistaken, one of the Spider-Mans has the whole even VH1 style pop-up video thing, which is a little annoying because it's got the sound effect.
Oh, yeah.
But, it's like the trivia track is a great thing. It's like instead of a director's commentary, I don't want to watch the whole film where I can't even hear what they're saying. I
Right.
just hear people talking over it. Unless you're going to do something funny with it, like the Spinal Tap one, just give us the trivia track where it's like, here's all the stuff.
Did
that,
they did they keep those in the? Because I know the original issue Star Treks, or I guess the first set of box sets they put out for the complete series had trivia tracks on them. They were awesome.
I think some episodes do.
When they run it on G4, they do that.
Yeah, they only had it on like a couple of episodes, but
Yeah.
I mean it was really cool because they show like that. When you see the view screen of the Enterprise, there's like this little light display below it, and one of the trivia things that they offered was that there was actually this guy who had basically a battery pack with a little electrode at the end, and all those lights, he would just touch them individually. That was the only way that they could figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
And so that's how they make it like go across the thing like that. And I was like, wow, you couldn't like hire an electrician to puzzle that out for you.
Dragging it, kicking and screaming back to the topic though. It has been an interesting year, especially if you're a fantasy fan for books.
Oh, we're going to talk about this year specifically? Okay.
Ooh.
Because I have no idea.
Yeah, me either.
Well, there have been some interesting developments. Like the one that kind of is an interest to me was the fact that after about a 5-year hiatus and the death of the author, the newest book in the Wheel of Time series came out.
Wait, didn't he
Robert
die
Jordan?
a while ago?
No, he died. One of the longest running jokes on the internet, dating back to the days of Usenet, was, haha, Robert Jordan has died and he's never going to finish the series. Which really made me feel like quite the asshole when it turned out he actually did die, and I was telling my friends to quit with that damn joke.
But thankfully, as it turns out, Robert Jordan is the Tupac of fantasy literature.
Yeah, it does appear that way, doesn't it? Or the L. Ron Hubbard. As soon as his new religion will be coming out.
Right.
So.
I remember when Hubbard.
has.
Yeah, when Hubbard died, it was like every time I turned around, they were releasing a new book, and it was just like, he's not dead. There's no way he's dead.
Yeah, after 5 years, a book series that started in 1993. I started reading this stuff in high school. Is finally winding to a very long delayed close.
Is this the last book now?
Originally, it was going to be. But what happened was, between the
Realized
notes,
how much money there was to be made?
Hey,
well, first off, they backed up
whoa.
the money truck to Tor Books. But the other thing is that between the notes that Jordan left and the unfinished manuscript and the additions that the new writer Brian Sanderson added, they basically realized they could either publish a 3,000 page tome, or they could split it into 3 books.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, it's sad when that happens, because I know like Robert Asprin, who did the Myth Adventures series. Sure. I don't think that's. I mean, maybe they'll get some other writer to finish it up, but that never. There was a lot of things like romances between the characters and this, that, and the other thing that they never resolved, that he kept dragging out. But
that wasn't one of those series that was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen?
Oh no, totally granted.
It was a comedy series.
Yeah, I'm just but
it was great.
Yeah,
I'm not dismissing it. I'm just saying that all that was like sexual tension in a sitcom. You're like,
it's like will they, won't they on Friends or The Office or whatnot.
Well, it's like in the long run, when you really think about it and you put all the shows behind you that were like that, you're like, you know what? I hope they never resolve this, because it's so much funnier when it's not.
I'm actually really, not to be morbid, but as long as we're talking about authors dying, J.D. Salinger is going to be kicking off at some point.
Then we're going to get a slew.
We're going to get every unpublished manuscript he ever had.
Unless, and of course, he may have just, spent the last, 50 years writing nothing but, all work and no play makes J.D. a dull boy.
I was just going to make that joke. Damn you, Bo, for being inside my head.
That's what I get for rewatching The Shining recently.
but yeah, we're gonna rape that corpse till it begs for mercy.
Well, the thing is, he signed a deal quite a few years back with I don't remember the publisher, and I've even said this before on the show, but to basically get a huge amount of money up front for I don't even know, unnamed amount of books, but apparently a lot. He's never, according to what I read.
But of course, how are they going to take him to court?
Yeah. Well, according to what I read, he's never stopped writing since his last one. He's just never tried to get any of it.
Well, that's right up there with Stephen King saying that with the end of the end of the Dark Tower series that he was done writing.
Yeah, sure you are.
No one believed that. That guy has a fixation. I mean, I'm not blaming him. Stephen King is an enormous talent, no question about it.
He was done writing anything good.
No, not necessarily.
He's like, that's my opus. This is it.
No, because that zombie book he wrote was pretty damn good. Cell, that was a good book. I like that quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think if you read a lot of writers that published throughout their lives. Like, the people that immediately come to mind are Robert Heinlein and Kurt Vonnegut. They basically say, it doesn't matter how many times you say, like, well, that's it, I'm done, I've made enough money. It's like a disease.
Okay, but it's
like compulsive masturbation. You have to, like, wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, go into your study, write for 4 hours, and it's like, okay, I got that out of my system, now I can go.
It's time to make the donuts.
Yeah.
How many times have you ever uttered the words, "Oh, I'm never drinking again"? Damn well you don't mean it.
This is the Leog. I don't think there's ever been a time when anyone's ever said that.
I don't
Oh,
think I've
I've
ever
said
said
it.
that.
If there were only
I've
way
said
I
it.
could figure out how to get famous and paid for that.
That's
Hey,
true.
it worked for Hemingway.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're Irish. You can say
Now,
it
there are
repeatedly.
specific alcohols I will never have again, because me and the captain had a falling out one time, and turns out the captain is not a forgiving man.
Yeah, I don't have single alcohol problems. I have alcohol combination problems. It's like I'll never have this and this in the same evening again.
No, for me, it's just straight up rum.
Oh,
'cause-
alcohol, the cause of all life's problems.
And the
solution.
But no, after one
Hey.
particularly harrowing night, my freshman year in college, which all of my friends will remember, yeah, me and the captain don't talk so much anymore.
Not to say anything other than Blarg!
Captain is my special friend.
Both seen my horrible mojito picture.
Oh, yeah.
The night of the horrible mojitos.
Yeah, it's more or less a toilet, and Kristen doing her best impression of a toilet next to the toilet.
You know, I'm going to say, though, for some of it's a good thing that in Texas it's illegal to send alcohol through the mail.
Yeah.
Because otherwise our wish list would all be like Jameson's with preserve.
Yeah.
Jameson's, 1 crate. Jack Daniels, 1 crate.
Is it really
We'd
illegal
never
to
be
send
thirsty
alcohol through the
again.
It's
mail?
funny because
It is in the United, it's just illegal to send alcohol in the mail altogether, not just Texas.
Well,
Like,
I think there are some areas it's okay because there are sites that have like there's Wine of the Month Club and stuff like
Oh,
that where they
right.
send it. You're not allowed to do that here in Texas.
No kidding.
Yeah,
No,
I found that out. I
actually-
found that out after I already got it done in a package, and then I got a warning like, "Hey, don't do that again," type of thing. I was like, "Oh,
Damn.
well, I know that because especially you can't do it internationally because when I was in Europe, I'm like, oh, I want to buy this and that and the other, but you can only bring like 1 liter per person back, and 1 liter of liquor and like 1 thing of beer. And I'm like, can I mail this? They're like, nope.
You know, on one hand, I kind of understand that. On the other hand, it's just like, yeah, because it's hard for me to go down to the liquor store and buy it. But oh, God forbid somebody were mailing it to me. That'd be horrible.
Well, when I was getting it was because there was all right. So this Belgian ale called
There were too many drunk postmen.
this
is what was
Belgian
happening.
lambic was illegal in Texas for a
Oh.
while because they had pissed off the TABC, the local Texas Alcohol Beverage Commission,
Awesome.
with some tax problem, and it was impossible to get here. And it's just one of the finest beers in the world, Lindemann's Framboise.
Yeah,
and I
that
really,
is great stuff.
really wanted some, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna go order some online. And they even said, don't order if you're from Texas. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna try this anyway and see what happens. And they sent it. And-
you don't tell me what to do.
and they did send it, and then I got a message like, yeah, don't do that again. It's like, oh, well, at least I got it.
Right.
Yeah, no, you see, Belgian lambic. Oh man, there's a sour Belgian
Goose.
lambic I've had. If you have it with like the right raw chocolate, it's like a chocolate covered cherry,
It's called
except it tastes like
Goose.
heaven.
It's the unflavored lambic, so they don't add the fruit to it. So and it's kind of tastes like a sour candy or something.
Exactly,
It's not
yeah.
overwhelmingly sour, but it has that kind of like a decent sour candy.
It's got a nice bite to it.
Yeah, and it's really good to go with chocolates or sweets or even just to eat with fruits. Like people even often eat it with a compote or something like that on crackers.
Sounds
So-
like a Jolly Rancher to get you drunk.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just wondering how we got to this point. I'm like, what?
Aren't we
I totally
talking about
noticed we were
books?
talking about
I know, I was
beer,
gonna
and
say,
like,
Writers and
I still have the
alcohol
room
go
for a
together
second.
like peanut butter and
Hemingway,
jelly.
That was the segue. It was Hemingway. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just suddenly like, how did we get over here? It's this nebulous region of not book talk.
Well, then you're right. Let's go back to books, and I want to bring up. Well, I'll get a chance to bring up some authors. I'm going to start off with an author named Rudy Rucker, who's one of my personal favorites.
Oh yeah, Human Tornado, Dolomite. Love that guy.
Shush, no, that's different. Rudy.
No,
Rudy
okay.
Ray Moore.
Oh, Rudy Ray
Really?
Moore.
That was the best you got? Because his first name was Rudy.
Yeah, but his last name
why
is
not
Rucker.
go with
Rudy
the-
Ruckmore, right? That's what you saying?
When I go with the movie.
Rudy. Oh, Jesus.
Dude, his last name is Rucker, and you're all facing on his first name? Come on.
I know, right?
Hey, Mother Rucker.
Oh yes, the brother of Hootie from the Hootie and the Blowfish.
But Rudy Rucker is one of the really formative people in cyberpunk, and a lot of people don't know he kind of got passed over for a lot of the notice he probably should have gotten for what he did. And he's best known for the Ware tetralogy, which of course means not trilogy, but 4 books. He supposedly is he's always saying I'm working on the next one.
Are you sure?
Am I sure he's working on another one?
No, that is it's tetralogy. It wouldn't be quadrilogy or
Right
something?
here, Ware tetralogy.
Huh.
Yeah. That's what Wikipedia says anyway, and they're always right. No, I have heard that term before. It is tetralogy, I guess. Anyway, so the first book is, you can get them all in one volume now, but it's software, wetware, freeware, and realware. And the idea is it's about it starts off being about artificial intelligence and a scientist who discovers a way to make robots truly AI and even kind of biological in their way. And from there, it's about the evolution of that. And each book is kind of like, separated by a period of time. And it goes on to the point where, these robots have become a completely different life form. They've evolved combined with biology on their own.
Well, kind of like in the movie AI, where by the end the robots are so lifelike, they're almost like aliens.
No.
People made it to the end of AI?
No, in this sense they don't necessarily. In this sense, they don't even necessarily look like humans per se. But they are evolved even past humans. I mean, there's this whole thing like where there's a religion that's trying to mix intentionally, like having their own religion, like they've got what do you call it, revelations, like eventually humans and these robots will mix, and they're trying to force it to happen, and it doesn't work. But this mutation, like a mold growing on these things, becomes sentient on its own that requires DNA from humans and robot silicon, so in its way it does kind of work.
This isn't the guy that came up with the concept of the singularity, is it?
I don't know. Maybe.
The singularity is like the cyberpunk version of Revelations, where all of a sudden, we all become connected via AIs and through implanted cyberware and the like.
He's actually a writer that writes a lot of nonfiction stuff as well about his theories about computers in the future. I mean, he has just as many nonfiction books really as he does fiction books almost. And right now he's got a book that's being made into a movie, Master of Space and Time. Great book,
I saw that. They play that at B-Fest every year.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've seen
Master
that
of
movie.
Space.
Which is being adapted by Daniel Close, which is pretty cool.
Never mind, that was
Michelle
the Wizard
Gondry
of
was
Space
going
and
to
Time.
direct it, is not going to direct it. Oh, shush you. Oh, my God. The Wizard of... Oh,
Yeah, that's what I thought he was.
please.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were talking about.
That's an awful movie.
Dude, that movie's cool.
Is it?
I don't know.
Every year at B-Fest, they play it, and they
it was
play
like 30
backwards,
years ago
they
when
play
I
it
saw
upside
it.
down.
Defend your statement, Leon.
I can't. I saw the last 15 minutes 25 years ago.
As a skeptic, you know as well as I do that the outrageous claims have to be defended by those making those claims.
Isn't that outrageous to say a movie is good?
That one.
All right. Please continue.
No. Anyway, I just want to recommend those. He's read a lot of stuff that's really good. I mean, The Hacker and the Ants is really good. White Light was really good. But the Ware tetralogy is really where you want to go. It's so much fun. It's so inventive. It's won numerous major science fiction awards. Totally worth checking out. Next.
Oh, who's up next?
Yeah, who's up next?
You know what? I am not up on a lot of these books that you guys are. I'm getting education myself. Like, ooh, I might check that out. I would bring up two. I would bring up two books that are like that I've read somewhat recently, but they are so different from each other. And one being a book I've talked about early on in Leon called Sharp Teeth, written by Toby Barlow. It was his first book, maybe his only book. And it's about a group of lycanthropes. That's not right, is it? What do you call them?
That's the one that's done in like epic poetry style.
Yeah, kinda.
Lycanthrope is werewolf.
Okay, yeah,
Werewolf.
lycanthrope.
Werewolf.
Yeah.
It's nice
See,
and
and Bo's
red.
not
Bo's not
even
even
here.
Except they don't change into werewolves. They change into dogs, and they're all running around Southern California. Some of them are meth dealers, some are lawyers. But it's all about I don't know, they're pack politics, and there's kind of a mystery going on. But it's what the thing I always loved about this book is that them being that they don't change into werewolves. They're dogs. Is that a wolf you're never going to invite into your home, but the dog that you come home and love every day could be one of these shapeshifters.
So it's a lot like New Moon then.
No, it's not like New Moon
Cute
at all.
fuzzy
Shut the fuck
werewolves.
up. It's not like they're not teenagers. for
Really, it's
one.
more like True Blood with Sam Merlot.
I mean, the thing about this book is, if you were to pick it up, it's such a quick, fun read. It really packs a punch for the time you get it. You could start it and probably finish it in the same day, or at least the next day. But it reads in a way like you don't want to put it down, and it's just like that perfect kind of like, wow, I didn't expect much from this book, and it's really awesome. On the flip side, it's a book called Fortress of Solitude by Jonathan Lethem, who
I've been meaning to read that forever, and I just haven't gotten around to it.
you know what? It's one of these books that it can be a little bit challenging sometimes because you kind of don't know where it's going, and it's almost just as much about this guy growing up in Brooklyn in the 70s, going through his entire life, and yet it's also about this magic ring that him and his friend find that allows them to turn invisible. And it's something that comes, and it's so
Were
much.
they being
like,
chased by ring wraiths
No.
throughout the book?
No. It doesn't do that at all. It's so much like if you're somebody who only reads sci-fi and people have ragged on you about not reading regular books, it would be somewhere in between. It would be the thing that would drag you into it. But to the point where at points, if you were only reading it for stuff about the ring, you go like, well, man, where's all the fantastic elements? And if you were reading all the stuff about the coming of age, when it gets to the ring, you might be like, well, I don't know if I'm in for this. But it really was worth it to get through the whole thing.
Okay, I knew that. One of the things, every time I hear about the book, I'm like, oh, that sounds like something I should read. And where do I know that name of that author? It's because I read his first book, Gun with Occasional Music, which is one of those books that was raved about critically and then didn't sell at all. And
Yeah.
I got it at Half Price Books for cheap and went, wow, this is amazing, like years and years ago, and totally forgot about him since then. But yeah, no, now you have me even more interested in checking that out.
Yeah. You know what? It's one I would say, hey, man, you should check it out.
Okay.
So that's my pair.
That's your pair?
Well, yeah, they're bookends. I just think they're very opposite because Fortress of Solitude is a book that it took me a while to get through it, and I enjoyed it the whole time. And it reaches points when it was a book I couldn't put down, and at some points it was like, all right, I had a little trouble getting through this part, but then it would pick back up again. Whereas Sharp Teeth is one where it's just like, bam, from page 1, you don't want to stop reading it.
Okay. Actually, it reminds me of the Fortress of Solitude. What was the name of the superhero book I loaned you?
I did like that book a lot. What?
Yeah. I'm just
the hell was
blanking the
that?
name of it now.
I can't remember it either.
Oh my God.
I read it on the way to Comic-Con, there and back.
Yeah, it follows a supervillain basically.
Right.
I know exactly which one you're talking
It was
about.
so
Dr.
good.
Impossible.
So
No.
good, and I'm blanking on the name of it. Damn it. Oh well, we'll
One day I will be an Invincible.
Yeah, one day I will be invincible.
yeah, one day I'll be invincible.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely, totally fun book. Maybe the ending was a little disappointing. Not like but like, well, I was kind of expecting this to go somewhere else type of ending.
Well, you know what? I really like the book, and I tell you, anybody who reads comics and thinks they might want to go into novels, this would be a perfect gateway for you. With the main character, the villain, it seemed like it couldn't decide whether he was really powerful or he wasn't powerful that much at all. That was a problem I had with it. It's like reading a lot of Grant Morrison stuff, where at one point somebody has all the power you could imagine, and the next minute they're getting taken down by something easy, where you're like, wait, how did
Like
that just
weapons
happen?
grade crystal meth, for instance.
Well, Grant Morrison stuff all takes place in some sort of weird dreamlike alternate universe.
Yeah, it's called
anyway,
Grant
so-
Morrison's head.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, speaking of Grant Morrison, kind of, and this will apply to fans of the Pirates of the Caribbean series. The newest Pirates of the Caribbean movie, which was just announced, apparently is being based off of a book by Tim Powers called On Darkest Tides.
Yes, I read all about that. I like Tim Powers. He's a
Yeah,
great
Tim
writer.
Powers. If you like Grant Morrison, you're gonna love Tim Powers. I mean, he's got the big mad ideas locked down. One of my favorite books by him is one called Last Call, where they managed to conflate the myth of the Fisher King, old school Dionysian cults, Bugsy Siegel, and poker, and it makes it all work together.
Yeah,
Well-
that sounds totally Grant
Well,
Morrison.
duh.
No, I actually read 2 books by him. I read Dinner at Deviant's Palace, which I loved when I was like a long time ago I read that. It came out in 1985 and it won the Philip K. Dick Award and the Nebula Award, or it was nominated. And then Earthquake Weather, which was a little bit later. He was a really good writer. I'd be interested to read that one if you have that.
Yeah, I've got just about everything he's written, and I was wrong. It's on Stranger Tides, not on Blackest Tides.
Oh, fail.
But
Get out of here.
I'm less of a man for that. But
Not for that,
all
for
of
other
his
things.
books are absolutely fascinating because they take concepts you would not think that would to combine. I mean, one of the ones that just got recently reintroduced, The Stress of Her Regard, takes the night that Byron Shelley and his wife Mary Wollstonecraft came up with Frankenstein, ties it together with the myth of the Lamia, and succubi, all sorts of things. Demonic creatures that will suck your blood, but at the same time, they live off your life force, but at the same time, they inspire poets and writers to the greatest moments of their lives.
Ex-wives.
Exactly. Proving once again that great art truly does come from pain.
They charge more than any of us could afford. So.
It just is one of those things where he takes all these disparate concepts and ties them all together in a way that by the time you're done reading it, you kind of go, yeah, that does make sense.
Huh. Okay. That's a great choice. Tim Powers is one of the ones I should have thought of, and I didn't. Fail on me. Kristen?
I just let Bo borrow the Earthsea trilogy lately, so I was gonna think
Ursula
about
K.
it.
Le Guin.
Ursula K. Le Guin, who's a great sci-fi fantasy writer that you should know her name at least. But I was assigned to read the Wizard of Earthsea as a summer reading book in 6th grade. I kept my copy because I remember liking it, and a few years back I sat down and got them all out again, and they stood the test of time for me growing up. I'm like, these are still good, and I really enjoy them. And one of the things I like about them is I really like it when they have like a theory behind magic. Like, there's a reason why the magic works in this world, and here's why. And in this one, it's a wizard has to know the true names of everything. Like everything has its normal name, but then there's the language of like what its essence is. So if you can name it, you have control over it.
Interesting.
And so that's like the theory behind the magic.
Which has actually been other people have used that, but in a
It's been
very
used a lot.
different fashion.
It's been used a lot. In fact, I even remember like a Bible study class in high school where he had actually our priest guy talked about true names too. Like
it's very associated with Kabbalah, which is Judaic mysticism.
Yeah, and he talked about that too. So
the myth of the golem.
Yes.
Is you can bring life to the golem by writing the secret name for life, Kai, on the forehead.
And in DC Comics, for you comics fan, it's in the Vertigo universe. That's an inherent and serious part of their magic universe.
Yeah.
True names are a very big thing that come up from time to time, how important they are.
I've always liked that. That's one of the things. Even though, like as we were saying, it was don't get me wrong. I'm not the biggest Tim Aspern fan on the face of the planet. I just happen to be bringing this up a little. But the Myth Adventure series, actually, they go into explanations of
Bob
why.
Asprin.
Robert Asprin, excuse me.
Yeah.
They go into explanations of why stuff works. And the idea that one man's magic is another man's science. It just depends on what dimension you're from and what. How developed the culture is.
Yeah,
and I've always really liked that.
I just read that recently, and it must have been in a comic.
Actually, I think I wrote something like that, and they Ask the League stuff.
Yeah, well, it's Arthur C. Clarke's law. Any sufficiently advanced science is indistinguishable from magic.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very, very popular quote. And yeah, it really is. Like, the ideal being that the more you know about any kind of mysticism, the more natural and logical it would be.
It's the equivalent if you were to be dropped back in medieval times. Well, first of all, they'd probably kill you for being a witch, and your last words would be, "No, seriously, we have these things called antibiotics." But yeah, you'd pull out a lighter and create fire, and all of a sudden people would think, "What the hell is that?" Magus, witch.
Until you bring out the flint. It's just flint. Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you people? But that's one of the reasons that I've always felt that because I'll always bring it back to comics if I can, that DC magic works better than Marvel magic, because Marvel magic is mostly just like pyrotechnics and silly names, whereas DC seems to put a little bit more thought into it.
Well, has Marvel ever really put a lot of? I mean, other
No.
than Doctor Strange, and
Well,
Brother
even
Voodoo,
Doctor Strange is just like Yog-Sothoth or the Vishanti and the hoary host of Hoggoth. but
Right.
There's never really, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
what exactly are the fucking Vishanti? What are
They'll
the
hand wave it every once in a while
Yeah.
and talk about they're the various immortals like the Vishanti or Hoggoth or the Faltine, where if you invoke them directly, they'll do stuff for you. But they've never gone into terrible amounts of depth. And much like how at one point they decided, okay, suddenly Stephen Strange is a Chaos Mage, and now Brother Voodoo is the Sorcerer Supreme. The way that Marvel magic works varies
from writer to writer.
from editor to editor, writer to writer, and series to series. Whereas, at least with DC, ever since Vertigo, really, they've more or less locked things down, and there's kind of a unified theory.
In DC, all you have to do is say shit backwards, and you're good.
Well, doesn't it seem like the whole locking down really came from the books of magic? Like that was the time when they brought everything together.
I think a lot of Vertigo has kind of gone into that and made like this kind of higher dimensional like set of rules, if you will, for the entire DC universe. So kind of like a little trickle down.
Yeah. So I thought it's funny you brought up Robert Asprin and the whole the Myth Adventure series. Yeah, I thought about bringing those up too, just because they've been on my mind lately. And at the time when I was reading them, I was like, wow, these are awesome.
Yeah.
Being so funny.
There's a
You know,
very
it's
noticeable
like-
difference when Robert Asprin started co-writing it with Jody Lynn Nye, too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And for for the record, he had to do that for tax purposes. So.
Ooh, no, what? I've never heard that, so please tell me more.
Aspirin got into a lot of trouble with the IRS, and basically, they made kind of a caveat for him that it was just like, if you write anything solo, all of the profits, all of them go to the IRS.
Wow.
And so basically, he was kind of I don't know if there was anything under the table going, like that Lynn Nye got paid, and she was shifting some of that to him or whatever, but God knows the man needed it, because like basically everything he was making was going straight into the IRS coffers. So pay your taxes, kids. Let that be a lesson
Well,
to you.
it's just funny because my very first professional comics job was coloring a graphic novel that he was writing called Duncan and Mallory.
I know you've told that great story about being a poor artist and wanting a good lunch.
Well, yeah, I
And
told you on the
it
back
should have
porch.
had a beautiful ending, and it doesn't. It has a horrible ending.
Well, yeah.
You got to tell a story.
All right, the story is, my first gig was coloring this graphic novel, Duncan and Mallory, which, Robert Asprin wrote. And I remember being at Dallas Fantasy Fair, where I ran into him where they were having the breakfast buffet outside. It was $14, and he was about to go in. He sees me. He's like, hey,
$14 all you can eat.
yeah, $14 all you
Bacon
can eat.
and
But,
pancakes
Right.
and eggs and all the good breakfast stuff.
and he was like, hey, you coming in? You gonna eat? And I was like, I wish I could, but it's $14. I can't afford it. And he looked at me and he's like, well, that's one of the perks of being a published author. And just strolled right on in.
And Leon told me this story, and I was just waiting for that heartwarming bit where he like puts his arm around us. Like, I remember when I was a struggling artist kid. Come on in there, let me get some pancakes and bacon. No, one to be had. He
No,
was like, yeah, well, sucks to be you. See ya. I'm gonna go get me some bacon grease.
Yeah, I'm gonna go eat some bacon and not pay my
And
taxes.
not pay my taxes. Yes, like it all comes around. You just spent that $14. They probably never would have audited your ass.
You gotta watch out for those bacon eaters. They're skipping on the tax money.
If I only had the tofurkey bacon.
Bacon,
See?
as I call it.
Full
It is.
circle.
It's fake.
This will be the bacon show.
I love that.
It's the bacon show. Put that on the
Hey
headline.
man, it's Thanksgiving, and I personally, if there's anything wrong with the American food menu of Thanksgiving, and there's a lot wrong with it, but the major point is there's no fucking bacon. Bacon for Thanksgiving, ladies and gentlemen. That should be your new resolution.
Bacon wrapped turkey.
Bacon wrapped turkey, bacon
wrapped
stuffing. Let me tell you, if you're making that green bean casserole, you know what it needs?
Bacon.
Oh.
Actually, that's a fact right there.
Bo, you would love my Uncle Butch because everything he cooks has some form of bacon or fat back
No,
in it.
the best kind of green
Pumpkin
bean
pie.
I
Bacon
when you
on
have really good green bean casserole, it's because it has big chunks of thick cut bacon cooked into it. With
My
sort of like that
my
weird
great grandmother
gravy
would
sauce.
would like get up during the night and like fry up some bacon and just put it aside and then like fry bread in the bacon grease to
Yeah.
eat it.
And then she'd go back
and
to
she
sleep
lived
and-
till she was 93, ladies and gentlemen.
Then she'd go
so
back to
fuck
bed
you.
and not remember ever having done that. It was weird.
And then when she'd wake up, bacon.
Hey, man.
All right.
It's
The bacon
stress
fairies
that
came.
kills you, and as long as you're eating bacon, you're happy.
But regardless of the fact that they even filmed her doing it, the mythology of the bacon ghost of the Bow household
The bacon
continues
ghost
to
of
this
Idlewild,
day.
Texas.
I found some picture on the internet somewhere where someone had gone. There's some restaurant, don't know where it is, but on the menu is cup o' bacon. And so the person ordered it and took a picture of it, and it's just a glass full of bacon.
That's
Yeah.
really good
That's what
because
it is.
a lot of people just put the word bacon on the menu and you don't know what you're getting. But with a cup of bacon, you
You're
know.
getting a cup of
You're
bacon.
getting a cup of fucking bacon.
You better
dude.
get a cup full of
Exactly.
bacon. That better
Now,
be.
see, that's one of the things I love about living in South Austin, which you North Austinites don't get, is a place called Gordo's, which is a donut place.
I
where
haven't gone there yet, but I kind of want to.
They
One
got
of the
a bacon
one of the
donut?
things they've
Bacon
got,
donut.
they have got a donut stuffed with bacon with maple syrup frosting.
Wow. That's
Don't
just-
wow that. That's gross.
You're killing me.
That's taking it too far.
I'm
don't think
sorry,
it
I
is.
couldn't understand you when you started speaking crazy.
I remember when Wendy's introduced the Baconator on their menu, and we all went, ha, 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 that's ridiculous. Who that? Look, that's like 3,000 calories. Who hasn't gone and gotten a Baconator? Other than the vegetarian and the right. I've had
all
like
I'm saying
I've
is
had like 10.
it doesn't make any sense when you're sober.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, good point.
But you get 5 pints in you, and you're just like, you know what I need? A sandwich that is mostly bacon. In fact, can you leave the bread off? That would be awesome.
You know, they should do that. They should make a sandwich where they've made sort of a bacon bread for it, instead. Because why not?
I know, and that's
In
what
a world
that's
where
what
we have bacon flavored envelopes, I don't know why they have
it really upsets me when I go to like a sandwich shop and just say, "Can I get a B?"
Yeah.
Don't just a B. Don't fuck around with that LT crap. B.
That's true. It is nature's.
It's bacon wrapped in bacon in a bacon shell.
It may be proof that both God and the devil exist.
They have that chocolate bar with bacon in it.
They do,
now,
which I
too.
have yet to try. Everyone
kinda-
talks about. There's a number of different ones. It's
there's
so
a bunch of them,
popular.
yeah.
A bunch of companies are making bacon chocolate bars. Really? But apparently it's really good. So,
And there's also bacon vodka, of which I believe you are a purveyor.
I am. I have not tried it. I'm not sure I want to try
Wait,
it.
we have bacon vodka at the
that,
Nomad?
That might be where I get the cutoff line there
damn.
of bacon love.
Well, I know where we're going tonight. Quick to the Nomad.
But Harris, you yourself, you infuse vodkas all the time. And why don't you just infuse that yourself? Get some fat back and some bacon, shove that sucker in a big old jar with some vodka.
Because they'd find me with my liver having crawled out of my body and hitchhiked
Also,
its way to someone who will appreciate
I
it.
don't think that's something you want to do on just a I am a craftsman level, because that could end up being trichinosis
I feel
infused
bad.
vodka.
I feel bad.
Oh, come on. The alcohol will kill most of it.
He died as he lived.
He died as he
Drinking
lived,
heavily?
and that's why we're burying him in a skillet.
Yeah, they may have snorted Timothy Leary, but they fried me.
All right.
Are there any books about bacon or authors about bacon?
There should
No,
be.
strangely enough, there aren't. You think there'd be a whole genre, Charlotte's Web? There you go, that's a good one, too.
Well, that was some pig.
That was. That's
went
what I
great
always
with eggs.
Yeah, that's what I always say after my ham
That is
breakfast.
one fine pig.
We're going to skip to some news real quick here, which is last week we talked about Spider-Man 4 and the rumor about the Black Cat. And apparently Rachel McAdams has said, no, that's just an internet rumor.
You know what? Whenever
Which-
you first hear about these things, it's always a rumor,
Of
and none of it's
course
ever
it is.
true.
Well, okay. Devin Faraci from Chud.com wrote a great piece recently where he was just trying to explain the way this stuff works. He was saying, look, like, just because you hear that, it means they talked to them. Or maybe they didn't even talk to them.
Right.
Maybe it means someone in a boardroom said to someone else in a boardroom, you know who'd be good? And one of the other people in that boardroom, maybe they're just a secretary,
You
whatever, runs a anonymous website somewhere and posted this as this is for sure true. Sure, those guys said it, but it doesn't make it any closer to the truth any more than if that person actually does go in and test.
Right.
The very fact that we've had to have a well-written article on what a fucking internet rumor is makes me fear for my country.
You have to have it like every 2 years.
Yeah,
for this
yeah,
to
It's
come
like,
out.
hey guys, guess what? 90% of this shit is horse shit. It
But
really is.
One of the funny things is on the casting list for Spider-Man 4, they're casting a 2 or 3 year old boy to play a 2-year-old Caucasian with red hair, an adorable toddler with an engaging personality.
not want.
And identical twins only, which suggests that they'll be used a lot. in the
Speaking
film.
as a redhead, I would like to say it is impossible to have a red-haired child with an engaging personality, so that is a myth. It is an internet rumor that I'm debunking right here and now.
Well, of course, this leads people to suggest, okay, the next movie is going to have Peter and Mary Jane having had a baby.
Isn't that like kind of
Or
a
Carnage.
canyon level chasm leap in logic? It's like, what? They're casting a kid. Mary Jane and Peter must have a kid.
No. They're casting a kid with red hair who, because
Yeah,
of
who
the
has
nature
twins?
of,
I heard all your points.
Yes, I'm just saying that's enough to presuppose that maybe that is indeed the case.
No.
I don't think that's true. I think that's enough to at least make a educated guess that falls into the realm of plausibility.
Bo, your retort.
Have you read any Spider-Man? Has there ever been a kid? I mean, granted,
Yes, there has.
They did it for Superman Returns, but no, I think that's really far fetched, and I just can't see any. I can't see Raimi going along with it. To tell you the truth,
Well,
I mean,
there-
he's gone along with some stupid shit. I'll admit that, but no.
Thank you for switching the picture, Cyrus. That was wigging me out.
I know it was kind of freaking me out.
Yeah.
too.
There,
Well, see, there's
there
two
have been
things
two
that-
Spider Babies. There's been Spider Girl, which got its own alternate continuity, and then there was also in the regular continuity before, But let us remind you, Peter Parker made a deal with Satan. He actually, towards the end of the Clone Saga, he and Mary Jane had a baby that eventually got kidnapped by Doc Ock and has never been heard from
Yeah,
again.
that's great. So if they introduce some kind of like you fall through a wormhole and now you see alternate reality Spidey, okay, yeah, I can see that.
No, I'm interested in the Spider Baby that Sergio Leone drew in that one issue with like the 6 arms and stuff, and there was that whole
Sergio Leone,
Yeah.
the spaghetti western director.
No, not. I'm sorry,
Sergio Aragonés.
Argana. Sorry. Beer number 4.
The guy who made Gru.
Beer number
Not
4.
the guy-
Cyrus surprisingly makes
All
his
right.
first major.
That's
error
enough of the
evening.
Jameson for you, pal.
Sorry. Doo-doo-doo. Web.
I loved it when Clint Eastwood played the man in No Name and Gru the Wanderer.
Okay. Other news was that Thor finally cast the 3 Warriors, which was a surprising, actually, thing to me. I was really surprised they got as big name actors as they did for it. Ray Stevenson is one of them.
Titus Pullo!
Stevenson is Volstagg.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, they didn't get Brian Blessed for that?
I know. Stuart Townsend is Fandral, and somebody named
Oh, that's all wrong.
Tadanobu Asano.
Thank you. Is
He's
playing.
he's the
Hogan
creepy
the
guy
Hogan.
from Itchy the
Yeah.
Killer.
Oh, is he? Oh my
Yeah.
God. Okay, I didn't do my
Dude,
research.
that's
for
all
it.
wrong.
No, actually, I agree with you about Ray Stevenson. That's a weird casting choice, but I like the other two quite a bit.
Stuart Townsend?
Yeah.
From Queen of the Damned?
Yeah, but that's not like that's the only thing he can do. Come on.
He's the guy playing the swishy swashbuckler. It works.
The blonde, swishy swashbuckler.
Yeah.
I think that works.
I don't.
It's, again, though, Brian Blessed, people. Why is this so hard to understand?
That was such a no-brainer to cast Brian Blessed in that role. I don't even understand.
If you were going to cast him as Odin, then yeah, Volstagg the Voluminous.
Chris,
Why
how
not?
old is he now?
Who cares?
Yeah.
It's Brian Blessed.
Yeah.
Dive, my Hawkman, dive.
Well, you couldn't cast Harry Knowles because.
Yeah, you could pay him in cheeseburgers.
See,
I have no comment.
I was only going to say there was more action than he's physically capable of doing. That's all. Because I'm sure Harry's a fine actor. He was so great.
In the faculty.
Blacklisted.
He was so great as the head on the plate in Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
He was awesome in Monkey Bone.
Was he in Monkey Bone?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was.
Wow, I never made it past 10 minutes of that
Oh
movie.
God, what was the other? Oh, the faculty. He has
The Faculty,
appearance in
yeah.
The faculty, yeah. that bastard. I only hate him because I want to have cameos in films.
You just wanted to be next to Jordana Brewster.
Yeah, I did. The whole story, I got in a car accident, hurt my back, and they sent me to a physical therapist, and she looked so much like Jordana Brewster, who at that point had just disappeared from Hollywood. It was like, what happened to her? Did she retire? What? And she had been, her last film had been, a film in Austin. So I see this woman who looks so much like her, it's just like where I'm like 70% sure it is her.
Yeah.
And I flat out said, look, did you ever act in movies? And she hesitated for a minute, and that's what got me. I was like, oh, she's lying. She's Jordana Brewster. Or she said no. And, I paid for a couple extra sessions. That's all I'm saying.
She wasn't like, seriously, dude, that's the best you got?
No, there was no happy ending.
No happy ending?
She looked like Jordana Brewster. She didn't have to give a happy ending. She's a massage therapist, not like some, chick who works in
Dude,
off
if
6th
you
Street.
look like Jordana Brewster and you're a massage therapist, you have to give happy endings.
What?
That's just an obligation you have to the world.
Yeah, if you're in a porn film, not in the real life. If you're in
Happy
real
endings
life,
are still
if you're in
Hollywood.
real life, you're lucky you even give a half-assed massage if you look like Jordana Brewster, much less a happy ending.
Are you trying to tell me that porn and reality are somehow different?
Somehow.
Just say, if you care about your clients, you want them to relax. That's what you would do. I mean, if you're not a real professional, then whatever.
That's true. I agree with that. We should totally send that message out to the world.
Yes.
We're going to go back to novels here. I wanted to bring up one of my favorite books of the last several years.
Oh, hell yeah.
From Susanna Clark, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which so many people I know just skip past. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's popular. I don't want to read it.
And it was popular. I mean, it was on the New York Times bestseller list for
11 months.
For 11 months. But yeah, I'm really surprised at the people I know that like they were all into Harry Potter. They're all into like Twilight. They're all into all this stuff about magic, and they skipped this completely over.
So this is like as if Charles Dickens had written Harry Potter.
Yeah,
and
It really is.
And
the best
it's
description of it.
It's
amazing.
Yeah, it's equal parts supernatural fantasy and comedy of manners.
Mhm.
All of you who've been reading like Sensibility
all
and
of
Sea
you,
Monsters
so all
and
of you
Pride,
comedy,
Prejudice and
so all of you
Zombies.
comedy of manners fans out there in the Leon audience.
Well, no, it's like
you
everyone
jump
who's
the fuck on this. Too sweet.
all of you people who've been getting like Pride, Prejudice and Zombies because you're being all like ironic and shit. Yeah, you missed out the good stuff.
Yeah. No, this stuff it's really well written. It takes place during the reign of George III. You remember him because he was the king that we overthrew to make this country.
Pussies.
But
Which brings us back to Thanksgiving.
brings us back to Thanksgiving. Huzzah! Although that probably happened like 100 years before his reign.
Yeah.
But anyway.
We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us.
And
Don't you know the Canadians have their own Thanksgiving? What's up with that?
Have those people ever had a fucking original thought in their life?
Canada. Canada. It's like discount America.
They can't even get a date for their independence quote unquote day. It's Canada Day.
All they do is make crappy beer and pump out comedians that make fun of us. Act as if they're from here.
They
They
do
gave
try
us
to
Nathan
pass.
Fillion, so shut it.
Nathan Fillion's Canadian? Oh,
He
now
is.
everything's colored in a
Unclean.
Yeah.
Unclean.
No, everything's colored in a horrible yellow wash.
No, it's like
and
watch,
William Shatner too.
it's like watching the new season of Dollhouse, where after my disdain for the end of Battlestar Galactica, they're everywhere. They just won't stop. In every episode, they're there.
Hey, guess what? They're in V2, motherfucker.
Well, of course they're in V because they're aliens.
Oh,
But anyway, back to Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell.
Yeah, it basically it takes place in this alternate reality where magic is very real, but the little conceit that they have is that even though there were magicians in the distant past, nobody has practiced magic in a while. Now they know about magic and they read about magic and they have magical societies that talk about magic and all the stuff and philosophical blah-de-blah that you could think about to have to do with magic other than actually fucking practicing it and doing anything. And then, all of a sudden, during the Napoleonic Wars, where everybody in Britain is scared as hell that they're going to be part of the French Empire, somebody shows up who actually can do magic.
Yeah, and changes the entire, format, the way everybody thinks about things. Naturally, people are afraid of him at first.
Sure.
And he's kind of a dick.
Oh, there's no kind of about
Yeah.
it. He's a raging blue vein hard-on.
Okay, but he is genuinely a magician. There's no questioning.
Oh,
the
And
fact.
granted, if you were the only person in all of England who could do magic, yeah, you'd be pretty justified in being a giant dick.
Yeah, and
yeah,
he is.
I mean, just look at Grant Morrison.
And the first half of this book is really about his kind of rise to power and the people he's pissed off along the way. And the second half of the book is the introduction of
He takes an apprentice.
Yeah.
They find, all of a sudden another guy shows up that can actually do the voodoo that you do so well, Jonathan Strange. And Mr. Norrell, who is very covetous of his knowledge of magic and will not share it with anybody, immediately pounces on this guy and like, oh, you've got to come in and be my apprentice. And he basically sets him to work, basically doing clerical work and all this, little mealy-mouthed stuff instead of actually studying magic.
Because he quickly discovers that Jonathan Strange...
Way more powerful.
Yeah, not only does he have a talent for it, he's better at it than Mr. Norrell.
Well, Mr. Norrell is like a studied magician. He's one of the people who has a natural ability, and yet most of it came from intensive anal retentive as hell study. Jonathan Strange, on the other hand, is Mozart to his Salieri.
I was just going to say that.
He's the guy who's just like, woohoo, this is so easy, and is just so good at it right off the bat, which naturally pisses off Norrell.
And then mayhem ensues.
And then to make things worse, he's the guy, like everybody knew him in high school. He's the guy that everything comes naturally to. He's he gets straight A's. He's the captain of the football team, and he's one of the nicest guys you've ever met. So you can't legitimately hate him.
And the whole thing turns into a sort of a historical novel, like alternate historical novel. Like, what if these guys with all this power really existed during this period of time? How would they change the way the events had gone in the world in a very fun and exciting way,
And
while never letting go of that personality clash between these two, that personality, the excitement of the
rivalry?
character-driven part of
Yeah.
the rivalry.
And
of the story.
Susanna Clarke also heavily relies on the idea of the Fae, the fairy world, Oberon and Titania, all this stuff that has been, obviously introduced by Shakespeare, but really refined by Neil Gaiman's work in Sandman. And she actually kind of, out of that whole cloth, takes from it. With Neil Gaiman's blessing, and there's your thumbs up, nod and a wink, stamp of approval, because
the
they've actually collaborated before.
The new reissue of the book comes with a very long introduction
Yeah.
by Gaiman, just saying this is one of his favorite books of the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And bringing this thing back full circle to what you're talking about the trivia tracks on DVDs, this one's also covered in footnotes,
Yeah.
which goes very, very much into describing, the world as it currently exists, filling in a lot of the blanks with, the differences between our world and theirs.
It's very much written in a Victorian tone, and it's filled with those little footnotes and people whose names aren't mentioned. They just have it's Mr. Then an initial and a slash and shit like that. It's beautiful. I had so much fun reading this book.
It's a can't put it down type of book.
And I mean, if you're into literature and you're into fantasy, this is just your the biggest cake that you have ever been delivered on your birthday.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was easily in my top 5 books of the last 10 years.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yes,
Well,
definitely.
Leon, you were desperately been trying to get something out here, and then you finally got that face that's like, I give up. These guys are too animated.
Leon, they do have a black guy in the book.
Aw.
Really, who's his master in this book?
Oh.
He's not. He's free. He's a free man,
Oh, cool.
and
so,
he should totally be played by Chiwetel Ejiofor.
so is he one of the
Totally.
Jedi
As
in
every
this
black
book
actor.
also?
Is he a
He
fairy?
actually shows signs of having power, but he ends up getting in kind of seduced by the Fae, by the fairies.
Is that a bad thing? That sounds kind of cool.
Well, only if you got things against the down low, Sorry,
Yeah,
couldn't
one of
resist.
the things about the Fae in this book is that they are completely inhuman in both attitude and morality. The sort of thing that we would find absolutely horrifying, they don't have a problem with just because they don't see things the way we do. We're mortal, they're not, and as a result, they take the long view.
These elves aren't going to build you any shoes or any nice.
They're not going to bake you any damn cookies.
Yeah, that's true. Which is a shame because elf
but
cookies
they
are great.
probably do have swords.
Is that a phallic
Swords?
thing?
Well, like ElfQuest elves.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it is a phallic thing. All right. And good news for people already fans of this. There's the author is currently working on a sequel that takes place a few years after that book, but apparently it focuses on some of the lesser characters from that book, and her quote was characters who are a bit lower down the social scale, whatever that means.
Ah, she's doing this one for the money.
Well, she's been working on it for a while apparently. So, and admittedly, the first book is huge.
It is huge.
It's a long book.
Because I started to read it, and I was like, man, I'm never going to get through this. No. So I bought the audiobook.
Oh, okay. Did you like it?
I actually have. You know what? I was so intent on buying it so I could finish the story, and now that you guys are talking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I bought that thing and stuck it on the shelf and never did pull it out.
You need to go back and start it from the beginning and just listen to it.
You know what?
Because I know you're listening to that 52 series that
I was going to bring that up. Yeah, that box with the Darth Vader costume. I got the 52 series out of it with it's 3D sound and all, and I pop it in. It's kind of corny at first, but damn if that thing hasn't grown on me.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I might have to borrow that at some point.
Yeah, I will loan it to you. I mean, there's a point when some of the acting's a little over dramatic or the sounds. But there's a point when you kind of get used to that being like the flavor of it and just kind of go with it. So I'm kind of like, wow, okay, I could pick up 52 now because the book series, because it's not at all what I thought it was.
Really?
I mean I know it's the DC universe for that 1 year without Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, but I wasn't expecting it to focus so heavily on the Question, Booster Gold, and Batwoman.
You're not selling me here.
I know, I know. It's the kind of thing where I was like, ew. But they can actually make Booster Gold interesting because he's a douche.
Well, you know what? A lot of people love Booster Gold, and it's always been a mystery
I don't understand
to me.
why.
Where's that run that I'm supposed to read that is so great that like will make me see what you guys are talking about?
Oh, I mean, listen to him in 52. He's a total loser, and I like the fact that they embrace that.
Okay, fair enough.
But
did you have another book series you might want to bring up? Or are we going to skip past you and go to someone else?
Well, it's funny that you segued into 52 because that was the next thing I was going to talk about.
Okay.
So you just gave me that. I had something else, but I'll wait. You know what? I'll count that as my turn.
Really?
Yeah.
Just talking about that?
Yeah.
Did you have anything else you want to say about 52?
Wait, I'm early into it.
Yeah?
I'm only at like week 10.
Well, there was like 3 sets of that.
There's 2. There? There's a part 1, there's a part 2.
Okay.
And it goes week to week. So I'm only on week 10 right now.
And there are 52 weeks.
52 weeks, yeah. Yeah. Check back with me around week 26.
So it is comparable to Jonathan Strange and Mr. Blue.
I suppose so.
It's huge.
Yeah. But I'm gonna once I get done with this 52, I'm gonna go back to Jonathan Strange.
Oh, you really should. It really is a great book. I wish you could find the time to just read it because there's something about it's one of those books that there's something about the way it's written that is so delectable, and when we say that Dickens style,
and I love Dickens,
it harkens back to those feelings you got when you first read Dickens when you were in middle school or high school and went, wow, this is actually, I was dreading this, but this is actually pretty good. Yeah. That whole feeling of discovery, like this is something new. I love the way this guy writes. To be fair, he was kind of the Stephen King of his time, but that's not to say that it is bad. He was just popular.
Yeah, true.
Kristen, did you have another series you'd like to bring into the mix?
I was going to say, of course everyone, unless they've been living under a rock, has seen Wizard of Oz, but if you haven't sat down and actually read the original books, you're doing yourself a disservice because they are very, very different.
Now, how different are they? Because I haven't read them,
but
I've heard this a lot.
They're very, very different. And The Wizard of Oz, the movie, stands up great as being part of that world, but the book very different as to what happens. And then if you ever saw Return to Oz in the 80s,
which I didn't.
No, actually a pretty good movie. Fairuza Balk's first.
It's actually a pretty good movie, but it also radically was different from one of the books because
far closer to the books though than the
a little bit closer. But the thing that really they did wrong was Ozma is would be the Queen of Oz. She's the princess, but in order to hide her from this evil witch, they
turned her into a boy.
They turned her into a boy, and they don't do that in the movie, of course. She's just hidden, like she's like trapped in a mirror or something like that. And so I thought it was a really great plot because you're following this boy around this entire book, and he's up to his little adventures. And at the end, they're like, "Oh, by the way, you're the princess. We were just hiding you." Bing! your girl now. Deal with it.
Wow, that would be very.
Congratulations, you got a vajayjay.
Yeah, that's what it's like, and it's just a funny plot because they're like, hey, well, good luck with that.
You're right though. If you've just seen The Wizard of Oz, which most people have, that's their only exposure. They're really missing how big and how deep this series is. I mean, and it's influenced so many things and adaptations. I mean, The Wizard of Oz, The Return to Oz. There's multiple comic book series. There's the reality TV show The Osbournes. There's tons of stuff out there. Just take a what?
One of the major differences in the original Wizard of Oz book, my dad was always terrified of the flying monkeys growing up.
Everybody was.
Yes.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, Dad would not watch that movie.
It actually
with
took me
us.
years to go back and watch it the second time. I had to be talked into.
Oh yeah, man, those flying
because they're
monkeys
so
are so.
lifelike. They're so well done. But
Go back and watch it now, and you will be amazed. Like, how was I possibly scared of this?
Well, they just put out
right up until you see the guy hanging himself in the background. of
Oh,
Munchkin
that's
Land.
bullshit.
But the thing is, in the book, the monkeys aren't inherently evil. Whoever has this magic hat controls the monkeys. So the evil witch has the hat, so of course the monkeys are doing, bad stuff.
Sure.
But at the end, Dorothy gets the hat, and she's like, "Oh, monkeys, you're mine now."
And we know what she does with them, sick bastard.
And the other thing is
Shock the monkey.
It's lots of peanut butter.
Yeah.
Stop.
Always back to the peanut butter.
Stop. The slippers are silver.
Not ruby.
They're not ruby.
Why did they? I guess they made that
because it was one of the first movies being color.
Right.
So
Yeah, it
some
shows
of the
up
pops.
much better in color as ruby than it would have as silver.
Having seen those slippers at the Smithsonian, they show up in real life pretty that much shockingly.
they're
Like,
awesome.
oh God.
I mean, because when you're a little girl, you want some fucking ruby slippers. You're like, those are awesome. They're so bright and shiny. But silver wouldn't have had the
And
wow
therefore
factor.
are ruined for men for the rest of your life. You're always like, look, if you don't get me 20-carat ring, I'm not even talking. You
Well,
do.
see, I'm
What
not
is
even,
this 4-carat bullshit? I'm not marrying your ass. You better get me some jewelry now, motherfucker. Yeah. And so the world ended.
Who are these women that you date?
Yeah, who are these women that you date?
These
Who are these women that
wiggerish
think you
women.
can afford a 4-carat diamond as opposed to a 20? Jesus.
I
Actually,
want no diamond,
as is
honestly.
clear, I date women not like that at all because I have no idea what the whole carrot system is.
There you go.
Only thing I know about carrots is what's up, Doc.
Man, I was so hoping you were going to get out of that without making that kind of joke.
Really?
I had hope. You know what? Cyrus, I always have hope for you.
Yeah, and yet I let you down
No, yeah,
every
you're right.
time.
You let me down every time.
The triumph of hope over experience.
Still, spring's eternal.
It's not easy being Cyrus.
Please stop.
Well,
No,
yeah,
don't.
stop with the. Can we have the cat back?
Kristen, more. Yeah, for real. Put the
Lay him
cat
off,
host the
keyboard
show.
cat.
Yeah, but
All right.
before we all start recording, one of Cyrus's cats was sitting in his chair with his headphones, and I was like, "Hey, is the cat take over Cyrus's position now? That's be a great show."
And of course, Leanne was like, really? Who'd know the difference?
See, that just hurts me where I am.
He does look like Keyboard Cat, though.
He does kind of look
shirt
like
on.
keyboard cat.
Then he'll be on your little keyboard, your computer keyboard there.
Okay, I'm gonna let the keyboard cat thing go, and we'll just move on. Harris, did you have another book or series that you would like to recommend?
Well, I'm in the middle of reading Let the Right One In.
Oh,
I would like to read that because I just loved the movie
Yeah.
so much.
I
I'd like to
haven't
know
seen the
source.
movie yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. I'm hoping to get it. I'm gonna get that soon.
It's not only really worth it, but it's worth it to watch it in the subtitles.
Well, that's the
because-
thing. That's the reason why I haven't seen it yet. I didn't see it in the theaters because I missed it when it was here for Fantastic Fest. And what I've heard is that they've dumbed down the subtitles rather horribly.
Oh,
Really?
Well, it's when I started watching it with the voiceover, it was just, it's so off. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Well,
I'd rather
apparently
read.
the subtitles for the theatrical version and the subtitles on the DVD are completely different.
Oh, that's weird.
Whoa.
This has caused there's no small end of controversy because the company that released the DVD basically said, "Yeah, we're not going back. Suck it."
Huh, I did not know that. And you should rent it now before you end up seeing the American remake in theaters. Which, okay, I'll be fair.
Aren't they calling that Twilight?
No, they're calling it "Let Me In," I believe. And I mean, come on, it's it's ridiculous to say out of hand. Oh, it's gonna suck. There've been lots of American remakes of really great European films that have been excellent. And so, you know what? Maybe someone will have a totally different interpretation on
But
this
what I
that'll
loved
work.
about the
But-
movie was the setting.
Yeah.
And I was it Sweden?
Yeah, it was in Sweden.
Yeah, I just, I'm like, I'm out here recognize it as being, Sweden, and that's what I loved about it. I'm like, I don't want to see it set in America. That would bore army.
Yeah, I mean, it's set in Sweden. The main character is 12 years old, and it's right. The book is. I don't know about the movie. The book is set in 1981, so it's right at the height of the Cold
The
War.
movie is too, because they're playing with a Rubik's cube. And,
Yeah, they're playing with a Rubik's Cube. It's right at the height of the Cold War. In the middle of the book, anyway, a Russian submarine runs aground on Swedish soil. So suddenly everybody's half convinced they're about to see the start of World War III.
Well, that's a little different from the movie.
That's not in the movie.
I was gonna say, okay, well, wow, the title refers to a Morrissey song. Suddenly, I have a lesser opinion of this entire series.
Yeah, come on, it's about vampires. Of course, it's about
I
Morrissey.
fucking hate Morrissey. Oh my god.
I also.
Do you?
Yes.
Oh my god, we're
I'm like,
so.
You whiny bitch.
Oh my
shut
god, I love you.
up.
Everyone always goes, really? You hate Morrissey?
No.
Why?
Well, he's the lead singer of another band too.
Well, no,
Smiths,
just
right?
Morrissey and the Smiths.
Smiths, yeah. So I was listening to Smiths one day, and I'm
Meat
like,
is murder,
it's the same
except for
guy.
fish and sometimes
yeah,
chicken.
Shut
Are you
up.
serious?
No, that's not Blair.
Oh, okay.
That's a famous parody that's been bandied around. It's like,
Yeah,
you
no,
know what?
I
He's
can't-
just a
oh.
whiny little
handle
shit.
that guy.
Like, oh yeah, I can't stand him. The thing is, his band in the Smiths, great band.
Also, the thing, like when the music plays, I'm like, yeah, I can get into the guy sings. I'm like, oh, shut the fuck up.
Once he starts singing and what he's singing about, you're like, oh, you're a vegetarian and you hate him.
Oh god.
Now, the one thing that's
No, actually,
really
I don't like most vegetarians. So I'm a pescatarian, to clarify.
Oh, fair enough.
actually.
That's
one of the
different.
things that's kind of really disturbing about the book, and I don't know if this is in the movie at all. There's a hell of a lot of pedophilia in this book.
That's what I heard about it. That was the one
in the
thing
book,
that was...
in the book, Eli, and this is not really spoiling anything. She's got a human helper, and he is an avowed pedophile. And the main reason why he's staying with her is because he's got this really twisted. It's never fully sexual, but God knows he wants a relationship with her. So he is killing people, supplying her with blood, and so that he can at least, sleep in a bed with her and run his hands over her.
However, at the same time, she is how many years old? Like
She's about 200 years old, but mentally,
so,
physically and mentally, she's still 12. I mean, she says this. She's never, even in her mind, gotten older than being 12.
Yeah, I want to borrow that from you because I had no idea there even was a book, and I really loved the movie. And the movie's one of those, like, people are going to go into the film, let the right one in, thinking it's this, it's a vampire movie, like, all right, hard, blood and all that. And honestly, it's an atmospheric film. It's a character-driven film. It doesn't
Honestly-
even really get bloody until the end.
I went into it not really knowing anything about it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think I even realized it was a vampire movie. I had just heard, this movie's really good, watch it. And I saw a trailer for it. I'm like, okay, I'll give it a try. And then when it started becoming a vampire movie, I'm like, oh, well, this is already very, very different. So, yeah.
I really love, there is a, we've commented before when we've talked about horror, about the unseen being, one of the scariest things, and that's one of the great things about reading horror is you
can't see any of it.
You can't see any of it, and so that's why obviously somebody like H.P. Lovecraft, even when he was writing, kind of left stuff off the quote unquote screen, per se, but. There's some macabre stuff out there, like Shirley Jackson's writing is
The Lottery.
The Lottery. Everybody. If you have a Norton Anthology of Literature, and if you've taken freshman English in college, or even
We read that in, like, 4th grade.
yeah, I mean it's
Which
really
is a
amazing.
fucked up book
And-
for fourth graders to read.
Yeah, and
went to
it's
private
just like
school.
that last
Seven
bit
hundred.
where they're and then they were upon her. It's just like that's one of the scariest fucking sentences in American literature. It's so gothic and matter of fact and horrible at the same time. And it's
Hey,
just
part of
amazing.
growing up should be learning to be scared and learning how to deal with it.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's where I had a friend of mine write. She's a new mother, and she writes a blog on motherhood, and she's talking about Halloween and talking about how she really liked it as a kid, but then when she went to college. Like she went to a couple of drunken beer blasts, and she was like, and that really put her off Halloween. And I was just like talking to her, and what I was saying was, the great thing about Halloween is that you learn to be afraid, and then you learn to get over your fears. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily like the Halloween mocks horror, but it definitely, puts it in its place. And yeah, I mean, horror fiction definitely does that. It's like something that can creep you out, and then you can put it down and go to bed.
Well, humans are funny like that. The way that we confront a lot of the things that bother us the most is to embrace the fictional versions of it.
I heard this great. I read this really great story just recently. It's called the Zebra Storyteller, and it's like only about 3 paragraphs long. It's one of these really short, off the cuff things, and the gist of it is okay. So there was a Siamese cat who liked to think he was a lion, and he knew how to speak Zebraic, and so he would go onto the veldt, and whenever he would see a zebra come up to him, he would start speaking to him in fluent Zebraic, and the zebra was fit to be tied, and so that's exactly what the cat did. He tied him up, and he took him back to his lair, and he cut his haunches off, and he dined on zebra for a whole month, and sooner or later it became that all these zebras were vanishing in the same place, and the cat was living high on the hog, or the zebra, if you will. But the zebras were starting to get nervous. So there's a certain space out there where zebras get to, they never come back from. And this the one time they told this to a zebra storyteller, and the zebra storyteller was like, "That's interesting. I wonder, what they say that there's a lion there, but they can never smell a lion. Maybe it's a ghost of a lion, or maybe it's a cat who's learned how to speak Zebraic, and he can confuse the zebras." And one day he decided to go off and look in the place, and all of a sudden this cat comes up, and the cat starts speaking to him in fluent Zebraic, and the zebra looks at him, and he stomps on it and kills it. And that is the purpose of a storyteller.
Okay. Oh, that was easy, says man, and goes on to try and prove black is white, and gets himself killed at the next zebra crossing.
I've always loved that line from Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guides, but I was really
What are you talking about? I just made that up.
I was really disillusioned. I was really disillusioned to find out that a zebra crossing is not a crossing for zebras. A zebra crossing is actually what people in the UK call like the black and white lines for a pedestrian crossing.
Oh, I thought
know.
it was jungle fever.
No, it's like they call cop cars panda cars because they're black and white.
Oh, I did not know
that. They call those crosswalks zebra crossings, but it works so much better for me when it's actually a crossing.
And actually yeah, exactly.
Personally, I just think that that story is just proof that no matter what horror scenario we encounter, the Leog is prepared to deal with it.
Yes, we are. We have thought about every scenario, and then Jalford
I've played through this scenario 1,000 times in my mind already. Your
lost. Tentacles don't frighten me, Lord Cthulhu.
Well, you know what? We only have a little bit of time left. I want to bring up one more thing. This is really because one of the reasons I brought this series out is because the Sherlock Holmes movie is coming up, and I mean, y'all should really read the actual original Sherlock Holmes.
Oh yeah,
stuff.
they're great.
It's great. There are spin-offs that are really good that came later, like the 7% Solution.
Sure.
Terrific book.
They Might Be Giants, a great movie.
Yes, with George C. Scott.
Yes.
There's Fred Saberhagen's Believe It or Not, Dracula and Sherlock Holmes series, which is actually really good.
Yeah,
which
despite what you might think.
Yeah, it presupposes they're related throughout the years, and just through genetic flux, they end up being like they could be identical.
And
twins.
actually, that plays into the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
But this is from Mark Frost, who co-made Twin Peaks. The series Twin Peaks. He made he co-wrote and directed the film Storyville, and he did the show On the Air with David Lynch, and he wrote 2 books, The List of Seven and The Six Messiahs, that are absolutely some of the most fun, just straight-ahead action-adventure pulp novels I've read in the last 10 years. And they involved Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who, for all intents and purposes, is Sherlock Holmes in this book, in these books. And a great spiritualist conspiracy, a series of them. And the second one is the Six Messiahs is a direct, right off the end of the List of Seven type sequel. And they're phenomenal. I mean, they're just so exciting, and as you read them, you're halfway through the first book, and you're praying that they make them into films, because they're so much fun, and they're bringing up all these characters throughout history in a fun way. I mean, there's this whole alternate history, like, who gives a fuck? We know this would never happen this way, but shit, this is fun.
Yeah.
Type of series.
I've always loved that. That's one of the reasons Planetary is such a favorite of mine. Because it brings in that pre-comic book pulp world and
Right.
writes the alternative history theory and alternative history in general is just I love H.G. Wells and all that stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I love this sort of thing, and often it's done really badly. But this Frost series is absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's all about the stuff that they were really into at that time, like spiritualism and all that stuff, and it ends up being about big conspiracies.
Wikipedia spiritualism. It was a practice that predominated the late Victorian age and the early 1900s. And that's where we get the seance from and a bunch of other silly malarkeyisms.
I want to
leading to great moments like Harry Houdini trying to disprove spiritualism because he desperately wanted it to be true.
Yeah, exactly. Throw out another series real quick. Like I said, I'm just trying to get this out before we wrap up. There's an author named Wilbur Smith that was famous for African adventure novels, but his masterpieces were Egyptian books. The River God and the Seventh Scroll were the first two in the series. The idea being, especially with the first book, that half the book is from the viewpoint of the people in the time of Egypt and the pharaohs as they're trying to hide this treasure, and the other half of the book is written from the viewpoint of the archaeologists in modern day who are fighting versus terrorists and other people trying to get the very Raiders of the Lost Ark type of thing. Just amazing action adventure series that will just if you like that sort of thing, if that's your wow, anthropologists and archaeologists who do what they don't really do in real life.
Oh, great. These are more recruitment tools when somebody reads these and like, man, I can't wait to get my bull whip and fedora.
Exactly.
And then what they get is a little brush so they can
get a brush
dust
to
pirate
have
clips.
fun, kids.
This is really boring. When do I get my pistol?
Wilbur Smith has long been acknowledged as one of the great adventure novelists, and his masterpiece was this series. And just the last thing before I turn it over to the other guys for anything else I want to mention is Stephen Bruce, who's one of my favorite fantasy comedy
Holy
authors.
shit, look at
However,
this guy.
he is the geekiest of them all.
Yeah,
He's a
no.
filker,
Like,
which should tell you
okay.
everything
Oh,
you
good
need to
lord.
Because he
know.
looks like
Yeah.
the crowd at Dragon's Lair would turn him away.
However-
after giving him a wedgie.
And it's true. He is the dorkiest of them all.
He's wearing in the picture in the Wikipedia article. He's wearing like an Australian bush hat, a leather vest,
Covered in buttons.
And a,
Covered in
t-shirt,
buttons.
and a t-shirt with a paragraph on it in very large letters.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's also, like most guys like this, all into polyamory and all that. Those guys are always at. Why is it with
And
the big fantasy
he's
guys like
thinking that when he looks at himself in the mirror before he goes out at night, he's thinking, "This is fucking working."
that? But above and beyond that,
He's looking in the mirror and going, D'Artagnan, you sexy motherfucker.
I mean, hell, Orson's got cards practically a Nazi, and we're just like, yeah, but his books are great. And so I'm gonna go, yeah, he's a giant dork. His books are great. He wrote this series of books about an assassin, the Vlad Taltos series, who lives in a culture where there are very few humans. They're listed at they're second-class citizens, but they're these, but the humanoid creatures that are sort of in charge are called Dragarians that are evolved from dragons.
So this is the sequel to I Am Legend?
No. Why? What?
Did you say what did you say, like the Draculas are in charge and the humans?
No, dragons.
Oh, dragons. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're getting tired.
I'm fading.
I was gonna say what?
Yeah, the world's been taken over by Blackulus.
There's a non sequitur going on
it's the
there.
sequel to Reign of Fire. Sorry.
Oh, please.
Wrong movie.
Call Jefferson Knight.
Yeah, like there's ever going to be a sequel to Reign of Fire.
Damn it, why
Not if there's any justice in the world.
But
If only they delivered on the promised Apache gunship versus dragon action.
he's a human who's gifted at being an assassin, and he has a pet dragon that follows him around. And it's a comedy, dark comedy series. Highly recommend that. Anyway, that's it for me. Pass it on to you guys if you have anything else you want to talk about before we finish this one
I
up.
was going to bring up, because someone mentioned this to me, and I totally just forgot it was going to happen. This week, this Wednesday, which will be the previous Wednesday when this goes up, there's a Dr. Horrible one-shot comic coming out from, I believe, Dark Horse.
Oh.
Don't
How
much.
did I miss that?
Yeah, that's the thing, too. Like, I kind of briefly remember hearing about it. But, for anyone who's a big Dr. Horrible fan, I that's got to be enjoyable. So look into that.
I just like to bring up when we decided to make books the topic of this thing. One of the things that I've been doing over the past year is going in half-price books and seeking out all of the Vonnegut books that I read as a high school student. And boy, they just totally stand up to the test of time. I know we kind of mock religion here on Leon pretty liberally. But if you ever want to get an idea of like the warm morality one can have without acknowledging a deity, please read some Vonnegut. It's warmly humanistic stuff. Occasionally pessimistic, occasionally optimistic, but it's beautiful, beautiful stuff. Right? Please grab Slaughterhouse-Five. Especially grab any of his books. And
Well, he's one of the top 5 idea writers in human history.
He really is. As far as I'm concerned, the man's the reincarnation. As far as I don't believe in reincarnation, but if there is, he's the reincarnation of Mark Twain, and he's just an amazing writer as well.
I would agree with that.
Also, I would bring up 2 titles. I really like Philip Jose Farmer's Riverworld series. To Your Scattered Bodies Go is the best. It's the first book. Even if you read none of the others, it's amazing because it's like you get the reincarnations of these literary and historical figures kind of doing battle on this weird world that's kind of set up for judging their survival capabilities.
Now imagine if everyone who'd ever lived reincarnated at the exact same moment in a weird fantasy world set on the side of a giant river.
Set on the side of a giant river, and anytime that they are killed, they are reincarnated, although it is often like millions of miles down this river, which basically spans the world. I mean, it's
then every once in a while you get like the one wise ass who decides that's the best way to travel.
Yeah,
So even Parker Lewis can't lose.
Exactly. The main character in the first book is Richard Burton, who's the guy who translated the Arabian Nights, and who is an amazing guy in his own right. But Wikipedia him and
married
and
Elizabeth
check it out.
Taylor a couple of times.
Exactly.
What a life.
Not this Richard Burton, the other Richard Burton.
And in the
Hello, room service. I'd like to order Mrs. Taylor's sandwich. What kind of bread? Oh, just send up a loaf of anything.
and the books ends up sleeping with Alice Little, the girl who was the inspiration for Alice in Wonderland.
Indeed. The last thing I'll bring up for the night is Terry Pratchett. Amazing writer. Has collaborated with Neil Gaiman on what is the
Good Omens.
Good Omens.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what he is and who he is, well, he probably doesn't anymore either. So
No, God, that's
Not
mean.
make jokes like that.
But
sorry.
He got Alzheimer's.
I've always
he's
took
written
dark
he's written
jokes.
a
I couldn't help
great
it.
series called Discworld. Well worth the checking out, especially as far as I'm concerned. Anything in the Night Watch series of the Discworld.
Oh yeah, that's the best.
Beautiful stuff. Check it out. If you like Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, basically what it does for science fiction, Terry Pratchett's Discworld does for fantasy, and manages to send up just about everything else on the fucking planet as well. Well worth checking out. Great comedy stuff. He's the Weird Al Yankovic of authors.
What's
as far
the
as I'm
starting
concerned.
point? Is it the Color Magic? And
The Color Magic is the first book in the series.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Harris, anything else you want to finish off with?
Well, it's not a series, but it's one, and it's a little bit different. It's called The Gunseller by Hugh Laurie, as in Dr. House.
Good Lord.
Wait, you mean that guy who sat next to Rachel during that episode of Friends?
Exactly.
You saw that internet meme too. didn't
Yes,
you?
I did.
Who's that
I'm
crazy
up to date.
bitch next to Dr. House? But no, as it turns out, he, in addition to being a gifted comedian and great actor, he's also a surprisingly talented writer.
We really need to kill all British people.
And
There's too many of them, or there's not enough of them, and they're just getting way too multi-talented to make.
and
up
with
for
that sexy accent they have, they're taking all the women.
That's true.
But as it turns out, he's also a really gifted author, and his book, The Gunseller, is an action adventure novel that's really surprisingly entertaining. It's got the dry wit that you would expect from him. It's also very much kind of the private eye gets caught up in events bigger than he ever expected and has to muddle his way through.
It doesn't sound like any Moab is my washpot by Stephen Fry, though.
No, it really isn't, sadly. But like I said, rip-roaring adventure, terrorism, guns, hard men doing hard things but have a heart of gold. It's awesome. Check it out.
Ah, so what's it about?
Gay things,
Yeah,
It's about
hard,
$10 in
that's
paperback.
Men and hard. That's all I got.
leather and hardness and.
Well, I would.
Hard.
If
Leon.
we're gonna close it out, I would just talk about bring up real quickly one of my favorite authors, Mr. Joe Lansdale, and I would highly recommend his Hap and Leonard series of books, especially Two Bear Mambo and Bad Chili, especially Two Bear Mambo. I think that's the second one, and it was. Anytime I want to turn somebody on to it, it's usually the one that I say, like, read this first. Like, even Corey, who it's hard to get him to read stuff, got him that, and he got into him.
Well, it's not that it's hard to get him to read stuff. It's just no, never mind.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Were you gonna make it "it's hard" joke? Is that what that was?
No, I was gonna make it just hard for him to read.
Oh, that's not true.
No,
Corey
it's
is
not,
very
no.
We
intelligent.
can't all read books like Johnny
Corey is
Five like you,
very
bro.
intelligent.
Yes.
In fact, we ran into him at the Art Spielman and R. Crumb came to Austin this week, and we got Chris and I and him actually got to see them live and in person. It was
Yeah,
very cool.
no, I heard about that. Corey even got to stand up and say a question. He said, "I like the funny pictures."
I like it when you draw the boobies.
Yeah, I think
I
y'all
like
write some
big
good shit,
butts.
but if you could put less
R. Crumb
words
came
in it, it'd be great.
There should be totally like R. Kelly, R. Crumb, some sort of big butt thing. I don't know.
All about girls with big thighs that like to pee on you.
Exactly. I want to pee on you.
Our Crumb's trapped in a closet.
Yeah, he might be. It's hard to tell. He's a
He
little
kind of is,
he's
yeah.
a little confused. That much is certain. I don't think anyone's ever been clear on exactly what the nature of his
I think he's
confusion
been
is.
very clear on the type of women he likes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much all he draws.
yeah.
Well,
Nonetheless,
apparently, by his own admission, that's the only way they can get him to write anymore is to put him in a closet.
Well, unless anybody had anything else they wanted to bring up before we finish,
Happy
we're gonna say
Thanksgiving,
Happy
everyone.
Thanksgiving.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
go practice
happy
eating.
Thanksgiving.
Damn, I can hardly wait for that turkey
And bacon.
and bacon.
How about
Lots
just
of bacon.
A pile of bacon shaped like a turkey.
Remember that the turkey is so intelligent that Benjamin Franklin wanted to make him our state bird,
And it's the only bird that can drown in the rain.
and then he realized that it can drown in the rain, and it makes you sleepy if you eat a lot of them. So
That's not really good war thing you want to go into. Hey!
I'm
we fall
tired.
asleep.
They'll never take away our... I don't care.
Oh, look, football's on.
No. The league Thanksgiving party will not be watching
no, but we
football.
will be watching the curling finals. Our favorite sport from north of the border.
It is at Grant's house, which scares me because he likes the sports, and I'm gonna have to be like go in there early and put a lock on the TV. Oh, look, it's broken.
Dude,
Look, all
we're
it's
watching
showing is
TV
Venture
at
Brothers
Grant's.
reruns.
I mean, we're watching football.
Yeah.
In between the Venture Brothers and Metalocalypse, but there will be football.
Oh, God save me. Anyway, this is the end of A League of Extremely Ordinary Gentlemen, the Thanksgiving issue. Next issue is the long-awaited Joss Whedon episode.
Finally.
So pucker up, handsome. It's coming your way.
He'll be going into length and do all his many projects, not Roseanne, mind you, but the other projects.
Oh, shit.
Woohoo,
Roseanne's the only one
Titan
I've
A,
seen.
bitches.
And, yeah, we should be getting the members who do like Whedon coming out of the closet for this one. Some of them literally. Anyway,
Hey,
all
now.
that's left to said is
Long live the league.